So did anyone else feel an overwhelming sense of dread when the clock struck midnight on New Year's? Because I know I certainly did, because 2024 is going to be a year that will almost certainly change the trajectory of our country's future in a significant way, for better or worse. And the direction we go this year will be decided by the presidential election ultimately. And it looks like we are set to see a rematch between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. And with each passing day, that prospect gets more and more demoralizing. And I'm going to explain why, if it's not already obvious. First and foremost, Trump is a literal threat to U.S. democracy. There are people who try to downplay the threat that he poses, but he does pose a threat. And when historians say that what he is doing and saying is similar to what we've seen previous dictators around the globe do, I listen to them.
Also pretty sickening to see liberals weaponizing Trump against Muslim and Arab Americans for not wanting to vote for Genocide Joe and going all white savior as if voting for blue MAGA has made anyone's lives better. Well, I will tell you something. The fact of the matter is that we cut child poverty in half, by 45%, 40%. I think that makes a difference to people's lives. Biden hasn't done nearly enough in terms of student debt relief, but for 3 million people, yes, it made a difference. The idea that Medicaid expansion was promoted under Biden, yes, that makes a huge difference. The idea that the National Labor Relations Board has made unionizing easier, yes, that makes a difference. For millions of people who stand to gain Social Security and worker protections because of the labor board decision today, yes, that makes a difference. I mean, on balance, I'm sorry. The fact is, yes, there have been many more people's lives who've been made better by having a Democratic administration versus a Republican administration.
I got a bunch of emails from people saying, sorry, David, Trump is going to win, MAGA 2024, this sort of thing, relating to me personally. This has nothing to do with me. And it's really important to understand, I have almost zero influence over this election. I don't want to say zero, like I have a show and I know that there are some people who called in and said, hey, you know what? I was going to vote third party, but I'm going to vote Biden because I understand the risk. Or I was going to stay home and I'm going to go vote Biden because I understand the risk. You're not hurting. If Trump wins, I'm not really the person who gets hurt, right? I mean, I live in a blue state and a lot of the crazy stuff that President Trump would do will affect me way less living in a blue state. My financial situation is fine. I'm completely stable financially. And unless Trump tries to come take my money, I'm going to be fine, right? You're not really getting one over on me if Trump wins. It's not for my benefit that I want Joe Biden to win. It's for the benefit of the country. I think it would be better for the country if Biden wins. So the people who write to me and go, David, have you seen these polls? Your guy's going to lose. Ha, ha, ha. This isn't about me. I'm not the one who wields the influence, and I'm not the one who's going to be overwhelmingly affected here. It's going to be a disaster for what this country is supposedly founded on. The people writing to me will suffer at least as much, if not more than I will. So this isn't a personal thing.
Yeah. But putting aside Trump's corruption and criminality and general stupidity, it's not just going to be a tumultuous 4 years of him if he gets elected again. It's not just more Supreme Court justices. He is going to dismantle the administrative state and permanently change the structure of our government and institutions. That is a problem. He's open about his plans to attack democracy and dismantle institutions. And currently, he's the favorite to win. Keep that in mind. So ask yourself, how is it even possible that someone so terrible, a fucking cartoon character, could be leading in polls right now? It's got to say at least something about his opponent, does it not? And I'd argue it does. Much like his predecessor, Joe Biden is complicit in genocide. More than 20,000 Gazans have been murdered by Israel. Netanyahu cabinet members have expressed genocidal intent and admitted that ethnic cleansing is their end goal. And Biden still will not tell them to stop. In fact, he bypassed Congress to sell them even more weapons that they will inevitably use on innocent civilians in Gaza. But don't worry, guys. He told them to end the mass civilian deaths while he was giving them more weapons that they'll use to blow up civilians. So it's all good, apparently. And to say that his support for Israel has been catastrophic would be an understatement. At the time that I record this video in January of 2024, he has now lost the support of Arab Americans in key swing states like Michigan. He's lost the support of Black voters, Latino voters. He's lost the support of young voters who are sympathetic to the plight of the Palestinian people. But he is still not telling Israel to stop. Now, liberals might respond and point out that this rhetoric that he's been using lately has at least started to shift in regard to Israel's genocide. And yes, that's true. But we don't need him to talk the talk. We need him to walk the fucking walk.
It is not revolutionary. Some of these changes are incremental. And you may argue that in certainly in the lives of some people, it is not made better without a doubt. But I don't know what to tell you. Like, I think I personally am not someone who has ever really cared about the Democratic Party beyond whether that party or candidate is going to move in the direction of issues that I support. So I don't know what to tell you. Biden has continued a lot of the policies introduced under Trump. That's true. He's also reversed a lot of policies that have existed under Trump.
Arguing zero difference is just not useful. Also, I think arguing what people should do one way or the other on election day isn't useful. Like I'm coming back to the idea that like the private ballot, I think people
if he does get convicted before November, then he's going to lose the election. They're just not going to be people that are going to say, yes, I'll vote for a convicted felon. He's not going to lose his base. His base will stay with him, but there'll be plenty of people that say enough's enough.
Well, and the Republican Party is by and large lining up behind Donald Trump at this point. The head of the Republican Senate Campaign Committee announced earlier today that he thinks that the party should start coalescing behind Donald Trump and that the primary process is effectively over. And one of the reasons why we're seeing a lot of that is a lot of leading Republicans in this country are just getting behind Donald Trump. And lo and behold, it was Ron DeSantis himself who was criticizing a lot of this just a week ago. Let's listen to that and talk about it on the other side.
And so for Donald Trump, he's running a campaign about putting himself and his issues first. That's what he cares about. You can be the most worthless Republican in America, but if you kiss the ring, he'll say you're wonderful. You can be the strongest, most dynamic, successful Republican and conservative in America, but if you don't kiss that ring, then he'll try to trash you. You know what? You deserve a nominee that's going to put you first, not himself first.
And yet, Rob, in his announcement earlier today, DeSantis got behind Trump.
Yeah, he did a swift 180. They all seem to be doing that. But I think we're coming down to an election where we're going to make a choice. We're either going to choose democracy or we're going to choose fascism, autocracy. And I think history is going to treat these people very badly for supporting Trump. You know, he's a politician. He's going to say one thing, he's going to say another. Nikki Haley, if she loses, she's going to wrap her arms around Donald Trump. All that stuff's going to happen. Maybe she wants to run and be a vice president. Who knows? But ultimately, it's not going to help. And none of this is going to help. And he'll turn on a dime against them as soon as he doesn't like what they say about him.
And Rob, one of the reasons why Trump has been so dominant is because of the way he's been able to get his base back behind him once again. And part of that coalition, obviously, are evangelical voters. Let's talk about this documentary that you've produced, God and Country, that looks into the growing movement of Christian nationalism in the U.S. It's Hold On Politics. Let's take a look at the clip.
Evangelical enterprises raise billions of dollars. We're not talking about millions or even hundreds of millions anymore, but billions of dollars in mostly $10 to $25 contributions. Well, the way you get those contributions is by ginning up fear and anger. When I was an activist on the religious right, I would meet with fundraisers. I would hear from them, you've got to give me plenty of fear and anger. I need to make your people as mad as hell and frightened to go to sleep at night. Because when they're that afraid, they're going to send you a lot of money.
Yeah, Rob, tell us a little bit about the gentleman we just saw there and the message that you're trying to get across with this documentary.
Rod Shank, he's a pastor. He's an evangelical. And I think it's important that we point out, we're not trashing Christianity with this film. It's the exact opposite. Because what we have is we have very prominent conservative Christian leaders speaking out against Christian nationalism because they think it undermines the teachings of Jesus and the teachings of Christianity and the church. They
Had it or hit it, Joe Biden.
Hit it. You know, honestly, here's the thing. I think sometimes people want electoral politics to be, we overly identify with it's like if you vote for someone, they have to be the embodiment of you. And that's actually something that I think Donald Trump provided to a lot of people, where it's like, if you voted for him and if you were a Donald Trump person, like you want, like it symbolized so much. But I think what we have here in this situation is a more just honest thing. There are plenty of things that the president does that I completely disagree with. I think, you know, right now what's happening in Gaza, I can't go on every single day seeing this. I don't associate myself with what's happening. But at the end of the day, we have to acknowledge that we just can't allow this fascist movement to grow in this country. And what I think is actually hopeful about our politics is that we can exist outside of electoral politics in organizing our communities and standing with our friends. And, you know, if it's coming down to this next election, for me personally, the decision to vote is not a difficult one for me, because like, just because I'm voting for him doesn't mean that he embodies everything about me.
Right.
Welcome to a very special edition of the Nick and CJ show. I'm one of your hosts. I'm CJ. What's up, Nick?
What's popping, my friends, my family? It's great to be back for another week of Nick and CJ. We got a lot of great shows for you guys this week. I think we have Comrade Misty and Nico House will be joining us later today. And that's the absurd ideology that has been guiding the left for quite some time now, right? That they say, oh, come on, man, voting's not personal. Come on, man, vote for corruption. It's not personal. How self-serving is that? And we ask you guys to think, like, how does their ideology serve us, the workers? How does this benefit us? The idea that, oh, you gotta vote for people that enabling a genocide, Vote for people who are not fighting for you. Vote for people who enable state violence, because it's not representative of who you are. That serves the ruling class. We should be 100% militant about our vote. We don't put a lot of stock into electoral politics, but if you're going to engage in electoral politics, why will you vote for people who are going against your interest, going against your actual outside activism? So this idea that we have some civic duty to choose the lesser two evils, even though that's counterproductive to our class interests, that serves the ruling class and the professional managerial class. That's why you hear it from AOC and the majority report. A lot on that, but CJ, I pass back to you.
Yeah, and I think this is why, Nick, there has to be a petty bourgeois class. There has to be a class with 1 foot in, 1 foot out. The foot that they have in is through their speech. I'm for this. I'm for this. The foot they have out is with the party, voting to send money to Ukraine, voting to send money to Israel. So this is why it is so very important that movement, that people who are in the trenches, the working class people, are speaking out more, are being the voices of these movements. Because as long as we have these people in power, Nick, the ones that are supposedly framed as the left, and we're looking to them as, hey, give us guidance, let's do that. And when the last time has the squad galvanized anybody to do anything? When have they grouped all their millions of followers? It hasn't happened, Nick. But let me read my tweet about this video, and then we'll bring the video up and kind of give a couple of as an introduction and warm up before our guests get here. This is what I said about it, and everybody kind of chiming in on this video because it's absurd, but it's very orchestrated. If you see in the last 7 days, everybody's now went from Palestine, George Genocide Joe to let's vote genocide no matter who. They all of them have done this, and you saw it in the intro video earlier. Go ahead, Nick, if you're gonna chime in, sir.
Yeah, and AOC said that she don't support what's going on with Gaza. She's like, I don't want anything to do with that. Ma'am, you supporting the president. You are telling people to vote for the president that's enabling a genocide that dehumanized Palestinian lives. I mean, this is the person, Joe Biden, who said he saw 40 beheaded babies that did not exist. Israel and the IDF renounced the claims of 40 beheaded babies, but Joe Biden came out and lied about it. You guys realize that's one of the most disgusting things the president has done in my lifetime, outside of the offensive killing, of course. You know what I mean? That's like one of the, in terms of rhetoric, in terms of strategy, that's one of the most unhinged things we have seen out of the White House. They told us that the reason why Donald Trump was so dangerous is that Donald Trump, if even the worst case scenario is not this, because they like he will start wars and kill brown people. The worst interpretation of what they said Donald Trump would be, that's Joe Biden. He's siding with the most unhinged ethno-fascists in the world in order to commit a genocide while providing cover for them while doing that. The Biden administration provided cover while they killed journalists, and they did that before October 7th with Shireen Abdul-Akleh, for example. My last thought, I'll pass to you because I want to get to your tweet as well to get back on topic. This is why I call myself a Marxist. I'm a revolutionary, unapologetically. It's in Lenin. We look at Malcolm X and how critical Malcolm X was of the liberal wing of the civil rights movement. It is our job to call these people out because they are active agents of the empire and capital. AOC is destroying the understanding of what it means to be a socialist, and she's also trying to redefine what a socialist is. And they have been successful in the West. There are people in DSA, there are social democrats who supported NATO who believe they are on the left of RBN, CJ. Like if you ask David Figueiredo, if you ask Voss, those people, we are right wing. They think they're to the left of us while they support NATO. So you see how AOC in the squad and burn. I see you guys laughing. Like, no, but this is serious. They support NATO, the war, and the Democratic Party, and then they call people who criticize the Democratic Party right wing. We're the real socialists. You're red, brown, and lines. You see how they're trying to redefine what socialism is? That's why we had to take care of Holly Hawkins. Why you guys think the Green Party in Sweden and Finland and in England and France is so trash? It's because they allowed themselves to be taken over by liberals who are pro-war, pro-market, pro-police state. And thank God that the Joe Stein wing, and I took an active lead role in this as well, calling Howie Hawkins out and not allowing him to do the same thing to the United States and drag the Green Party to the right, pushing mandates and all that bullshit. That's the same thing that AOC and Bernie successfully done to the progressive Justice Democrat movement. Like any semblance of anyone who's good faith and anyone who's a fighter is gone. Because I will still maintain to this day that the people who was part of the Bernie campaign, like myself, had good intentions. Everyone who had good intentions going in, they've been gone, CJ. Everyone who's still in, you sus. Right? But anyway, I went long enough. CJ,
but just to kind of comment on a couple of things you said, what stands out to me is that I don't understand, and I said this in the latest video I did about the case against the Democratic Party. I don't understand the payoff. What is the payoff? Unless you believe in Santa Claus, aka democracy's ending. Like if you believe in Santa Claus, I can't affect you. Like go over here. I'm talking about those who are lived in reality. What's the payoff? Because I can understand vote blue no matter who, as long as they're neutral against your policies. Meaning they're doing no harm, no good. It's just flat. What is the payoff when they're going in, you're voting them in, and they're doing it against what you want to have happen? That's what I don't understand, Nick. It's like when they're going against, so if they're going in there supporting the genocide, what is the payoff? Now, if this never happened, which is typical, like something like this genocide doesn't happen every year. It doesn't happen during every president.
Shit I was saying.
Right. So they were able to have these talking points based on an abstract argument because it wasn't nothing material to be like, wow, because I flip-flopped on this issue, now look where we are. We were never able to point to an issue like that, Nick. Now we have Palestine. It's like, you remember that, I'm like knocking on their door. Hey, you remember that one issue, don't be a single issue voter? Remember you told me that? That cost 35,000 lives right there.
Yeah.
Now imagine if you, Social Democrat, had my position, which you call purity. Imagine if you were pure for the Palestinians, where would they be? Would that have affected at all? Now, I don't know. But I'm just saying, I would put more money on that saving lives than this. I've been saying, let's push Joe Biden to the left.
The same people who are being very performative with the Palestinian issue in order to increase their clown following, they were the same people accusing us of purity test. Where's your accusation of purity test now? Now that everyone melting down at John Fetterman. I would never let those people live that down. You guys see me on Twitter. I'll always talk shit to those people. Like, no, I'm not gonna let you do this thing where you rehabilitate yourself. Remember when you supported John Fetterman and you guys said I was pushing purity test because being called out John Fetterman day one, week one of the beginning of the season. We were like, who's that? He's hella shady. Why y'all talking about him? And now
how many times that article you post is gonna ratio somebody? You like on number ratio 5 of the same article, the same exact article.
And they pretend they haven't seen. Yeah, there's guys. If you don't know, I don't want to pull it up again because I don't want to hijack your segment. But there was articles and there were speeches that John Fetterman gave beforehand where he straight up said, "My priority is to be an ally of Israel." But that was very inconvenient to the narrative that it was painting, so they just ignored it. It was crazy to see. And I kept posting under everyone's mentions on the Twitter. Like, you see this? And so I know they was like, oh, no, I'm gonna pretend I haven't seen that shit. The Vanguard, for one, because I ratioed them multiple times. Like, hey, the Vanguard, you guys are pushing John Fetterman on your show, and he is giving quotes on the campaign trail talking about how his number one priority is take care of Israel. That was April 2022, way before the election. And then when he first started, there was the AIPAC campaign that was started against Dr. Oz. So he immediately reached out to them and said, oh, hey, I'm going to be friendly to Israel as well. Like, he gave so many signs and people were just ignoring it. They was like, he got a hoodie and shorts. He's just like us. He can relate to us. Anyway, go ahead, CJ. I'm done.
All right, let me read this, and then we'll get back to the video and we'll get back to our regular segments. But what I said about what this video, and it's kind of going viral, it's in the process of going viral, let's put it that way. AOC has really destroyed the understanding of what is a socialist, and you spoke to that, and that is really key. It's key to keeping the left stable. It's key to hijack their words. This is why it's our words always be hijacked. We come up with a different phrase next week, Nick. It's hijacked. Isn't your not serious, unserious? That got hijacked. I'm hearing all kind of social democrats use that. That's all they do. They listen to how we speak. Marianne Williamson is another one who, when she interviewed with us, wasn't speaking a particular way. Then after she did a couple of interviews and studied, podcasts, she was on, by the time she got to podcast number 5, she was speaking as she was damn near Michael X. And I was like, what the hell? What the hell? What the hell happened here?
And I learned from experience, because I'm still, like, we were still a young channel. I'm still inexperienced. Like people will tell me stuff, and I'll be like forgetting that people will just tell you stuff. Like Olayemi is like the best example, right? On RBN, Olayemi is like the next Angela Davis, like the next reverend. She's like, no, I would never support Joe Biden. People code switch in front of us. And I learned, like, see, I got to stop being so trusting of people like that, because they talk to me. Jordan used to do. Remember, I used to be friends with Jordan Stat School. I was on the show before. He used to sound radical as hell to me. He did this with Jamie as well. They would sound radical as hell. Then the second that you leave, they like, oh, what we actually got to do is vote for Joe Biden. The revolution is toxic. Like, where was this when we was having on the show? But go ahead, CJ.
All right. And then I go on and say, lesser of two evils, 2024. That's what this is. That's what this is being rolled out. You got abortion that's being rolled out. They're gonna lean heavy on that. Then I go on to say, when I mean this, I'm talking about what AOC is saying in the video. This is a professional managerial class point of view. To pretend like losing a democracy supersedes a genocide is such a privileged understanding of humanity. The preservation of people's lives supersede all other matters in existence. Because let me just speak to that, because imagine pretending that some sort of constructed idea of a system of how a government should be ran, meaning a democracy, supersedes the lives of other people. It's so almost self-centered. It's that it's almost very close to what is it? American exceptionalism, which is almost like very akin to racism. It is ridiculous to think that democracy should supersede genocide, even if on the grounds of, if you're going to use lesser of two evils. Like we always say here, we can do it either way. We can say, I don't believe in the lesser two evils, but let's just go on lesser two evils and go pound for pound, flesh for flesh. Clearly, Joe Biden has produced, because he is a more effective person at evil, not because Trump has different ideas. He's just a clown show. That's all. That's the difference. But we can get back to the. Go ahead, Nick.
I'll just be real short. You know what they telling people right now? They're telling people right now that we should vote for Joe Biden and allow him to bomb more brown children so suburban white women can have abortions. That's the trade they want us to make. They're like, come on, man. I know that we're bombing Palestinian kids, but what about Roe v. Wade? Like, are we serious right now? That's the argument they're making. They're doing this thing where they're pretending that Trump is a dictator. You guys see this? Trump said he will be a dictator on day one. Donald Trump is going to be a threat to our democracy. He's going to be a dictator. Ma'am and sir, Joe Biden bypassed Congress Joe Biden bypassed Congress in order to bomb brown kids. Joe Biden bypassed Congress in order to start a regional war against a country opposing a genocide. And you want me to vote for that person so suburban wine moms can have abortions? No. You know how much I care if people get mad at me for saying that? Zero. I don't care. I'm beyond done with liberalism. I am done with Western society and their contradictions. And there are people fuming. Oh, nigga, you won't vote for my abortion? No, not while you're bombing brown kids. How about that? Not while you bombing, not during the genocide. See, I don't know how much you've been paying attention, but that's your pitch. Kamala Harris, she cleaned her rhetoric up. She asked the question. She pivots to Roe v. Wade. Man, Kamala Harris, the young people are worried about Gaza. Man, aren't you worried about the fact that women don't got a right to choose? Nigga, fuck that. As there a genocide going on right now. That's where I'm at. Like that's where you guys want to put. That's where you guys want to put this at right now. And I want to say it. That's the message of the campaign.
You way more harsh than I am. I'm saying a lot gentler. Usually I'm the more harsh. Are you like? Fuck that shit, man.
Like this genocide does this unto me. I told you guys I've been going crazy. Like this genocide. God. I thrown away all like stability politics being nice. I've been following foreign policy for a very long time. I said this before, but this is one of the most heart-wrenching. It's very hard to watch what's going on and maintain my sanity. You know what I mean? So my rhetoric has gotten harsher. And I have a hard time controlling it. It's just crazy times. But go ahead, CJ.
Yeah. So since you're just saying this right now, I thought it was fitting. I was gonna put this video somewhere else, but since we kind of zeroed in on this, let me let this viral TikTok video get on TikTok, people. These people on TikTok is making some content. This is a banger. They're making some content, but this video speaks to what Nick was just talking about right now.
I will not support anyone who supports and funds genocide. Then you're going to be the reason Trump gets reelected and then all your rights will be taken away. I will not support anyone who supports and funds genocide. Well, when the Republicans get in office, they're going to go ahead and make this back to Jim Crow South and Black people won't have any rights. I will not support anyone who supports and funds genocide. I understand. I am anti-genocide too, but it would be way worse if anyone else was in the office that isn't blue. I will not support anyone who supports and funds genocide. You think the Republicans won't kill Palestinians? They'll kill more. I will not support anyone who supports and funds genocide. We need to think about us and only us in this country. You think they care about you? Oh, for the love of God, I will not support anyone who supports and funds genocide. They brought this on themselves. You're just anti-Semitic. I'm still not supporting anyone who supports and funds genocide.
That's the response. And that's a nice way. Nick put it in a more direct way, but that's essentially what Nick is saying. You got to both saying the same thing. This video went viral on TikTok. That's why I downloaded it.
CJ, do you mind? Do you mind?
No, go ahead. Do.
Yeah, you mind when exchange clips because we're on the same topic. Because, bro, young people are seeing like they going through the same thing I'm doing, but people are I guess more mentally well adjusted than I am. So people are going through this. We're all going through this gaslighting together, and this is a time where people who weaponize sarcasm and comedies thrive. So this is white liberals in a nutshell right now. And this is pretty much is a reference to my bit. I know some of you guys, man. I chose abortion just for comedic purposes. The abortion was a symbol for just the overall ask. You know what I mean? Support genocide because of this. Support genocide because of that. I know I deserve it. I'm probably getting someone that clip that video like Nick came out and get some. I get it. I deserve it. I was trying to be funny, but the point was we're not going to pick your liberal issues. It's in sacrifice Palestinians and enable the war machine for that. So let's look at this video as we're exchanging funny clips that are relevant. I think it was great. I saw this earlier today. Great video that sums up our critiques of white liberals.
We're white liberals. We say that we're not in a cult like MAGA, but then we'll dismiss any and all criticism of Joe Biden as Russian propaganda or voter suppression. We're white liberals. We use women's reproductive rights as a pawn, while ignoring that apparently the president can bypass Congress when it comes to funding a genocide, but not when it comes to codifying Roe v. Wade.
Yep.
We're white liberals. We'll bully you and say that if you vote for anyone besides Biden, that you're voting for Trump, instead of helping you organize and find a different candidate that isn't a dictator or a genocider. We're white liberals. We'll tokenize anyone from underrepresented groups who are in favor of Biden, while encouraging you to ignore and block anyone else who might speak out against him. We're white liberals. We'll try to scare you into voting blue by reminding you about Project 2025 and the threat of fascism under Trump. Even though people from underrepresented groups have told us that, despite its name, Project 2025 has been in motion since the 70s and 80s, and they already experienced fascism under Biden. We're white liberals. We'll gaslight others and ourselves into believing that life is significantly better under Biden, despite the fact that we're all struggling to feed our families and pay our bills. We're white liberals. We'll act as saviors to marginalized communities, but we'll also blame them if Biden loses and tell them they can deal with the consequences of that, usually in graphic detail. We're white liberals. We'll feign concern for Palestinians, but we won't actually watch the raw footage of them being attacked and unalived en masse. We're white liberals. We'll talk down to people of color and pretend like we know what's best for them, even though the wall's still being built and Cop City's still going up. We're white liberals. We'll watch tone-deaf Instagram posts made by our leaders and dismiss the thousands of comments streaming in, demanding a ceasefire, and just say that they're Russian bots. We're white liberals. We will talk over people in marginalized communities instead of listening to them and trusting their lived experiences. We're white liberals. We'll be recognized as Person of the Year for giving the economy a boost with our concert sales, while staying silent in the face of a genocide and actively destroying the environment with our private planes. We're white liberals. We like to say that we'll hold our own to account, but then we'll just ignore and justify it when our own leader is complicit in war crimes. We're white liberals. We'll put BLM in our bios while simultaneously condemning another country's resistance group that was born out of an unlawful and violent occupation.
Bro, she kept going. Bro, she just kept going. It was so well done. And people thought that the warnings we got from Malcolm X about white liberals was like a historical quote when people be like, do you guys remember what Malcolm X said about white liberals? Wasn't that interesting? Like, no, that still applies now to this day. And there are so many people that go into the shock of realizing that true. But CJ, do you have anything else? I want to bring Nico and we got our first.
We can bring him in. Yeah, we can bring him in. I'm sure he has something to say about this AOC video and just the whole experience of what we're talking about right now. So go ahead.
Yeah, we have Nico House back streaming on YouTube. You guys haven't known. Nico House back on stream on YouTube. Killing the game with Hotspot, you know what I mean? Independent journalist doing the thing out of Brazil. What's popping, my brother Nico?
What's good? What's good? Yeah, man, I'm back.
Up,
if y'all have not yet, go and follow me on YouTube. Real Nico House. Started my new podcast, For the People Pod. Super excited about that. Yo, that video, by the way, whoo, she was dog. The self-awareness. It's the self-awareness for me, man. Like, Lord, like she's saying shit that black people be saying when we by ourselves and nobody else is listening. That's what she was.
Yep.
Oh man, for real, I was like, shit. She going in right. Oh, she's still going. Oh shit, she's still going. All right, well, go ahead, cook then.
Yeah, so Nico, I'm happy you here. Like you and Misty are the perfect people to have, in particular with some of the topics we have today. This dropped in my lap. I don't know if either of you saw this earlier, like yesterday. I didn't, so I just saw this when I woke up this morning.
I didn't see the video too. I knew she said some dumb shit again, but I haven't seen it till now.
That's like
like
saying, "Oh, I knew she woke up." Yeah.
Probably, all right, so I'll rewind. We're likely not going to get through all of it. Maybe we'll watch maybe 2 minutes of it or something because she says a lot of bad stuff. So we'll see how much we get through, and then we'll move on. Nick, if whatever segment you got next, and then I can follow up after you.
I'm gonna tell y'all right now. Y'all know Jay. He only gonna be able to get off 2 minutes because y'all know when all three of us get together, that shit don't ever get finished.
Yeah. Well, let's do this. Let me play 1 minute. Yeah, let me play 1 minute straight. I'm not gonna stop, even if you tell me to. I'm just gonna play 1 minute straight,
I'm fine with that.
and then I'll stop it. Let's
I'm
do
fine
that.
with
Let's play
that.
1 minute at a time, and then that way we can get through it. Let's go.
Had it or hit it, Joe Biden.
Hit it. You know, honestly, here's the thing. I think sometimes people want electoral politics to be, we overly identify with it's like if you vote for someone, they have to be the embodiment of you. And that's actually something that I think Donald Trump provided to a lot of people, where it's like, if you voted for him and if you were a Donald Trump person, like you want, like it symbolized so much. But I think what we have here in this situation is a more just honest thing. There are plenty of things that the president does that I completely disagree with. I think, you know, right now what's happening in Gaza, I can't go on every single day seeing this. I don't associate myself with what's happening.
No, you
That's
do.
1 minute. Go ahead.
You fucking
Nico.
do. You literally associate yourself with what's happening. Like, literally. Oh, God. Almost
Yeah,
didn't make it.
if you support Biden, go ahead, CJ.
Let me chime in, then I'll pass it to you guys. What I find about this argument about I disassociate, this is what the professional managerial class has taught. This is more of a therapy session for themselves. They have to talk themselves. They have to disconnect their vote from complicity in what they're seeing. But it's so weird because, but if Trump gets in and anything Trump does, it's all the voters' fault who put Trump in there. But it's not your fault. None of the stuff Joe Biden does when you put him in office. So this is more of them trying to save their dignity, save their self-respect by saying, no, I disconnect my vote. This part of my vote is not for this. As if we can do that in our system. But go ahead, Nico.
Jay, you know what though? You know what? It was a Freudian slip. What she said. She was dead ass serious when she said she disassociates with what Joe Biden does. That's exactly what she does. She pretends that it doesn't exist. She separates her conscious from reality so that she is not forced to acknowledge it and then deal with the contrarianistic way that Joe Biden is versus how she tries to tell people he is versus who she tries to pretend she is. She doesn't want to deal with it, so she disassociates. This is what people do in real life whenever their actions don't necessarily match the image that they project onto the world, or at least the way that they see themselves. So yeah, it's crazy to me because like everybody who voted for Trump, it just means something. You don't know what it means. I lived in Miami. I've seen every single type of Trump supporter, just like I've seen every single type of Joe Biden supporter. But they overly identify with Biden as well. AOC doesn't say whatever she has to in order to achieve power, even if it's a lie. She doesn't pretend to empathize with the working class when she actually has nothing in common with us at all and would sell us out the moment it meant she can get a higher position in office. She's exactly like Joe Biden. It's the same type of people. Like that's what most neoliberals are in the United States. It's the same type of shit that she's accusing Trump voters of doing.
Yeah, and this is why there's a lot of people who are uncomfortable with RBN, with Rome in particular, and the way that we talk about Biden voters. And Nico, there's no reason why a lot of people are uncomfortable with you, because we straight up say like you voting for segregationist white supremacists, and you enabled a genocide by voting for Joe Biden. That's why I tell people to their face. If you're protesting Cop City and you're upset about what happened to George Floyd and police violence, you enabled that with your vote. And they're like, no, I didn't. You can't say that we're responsible for who we vote for. Think about that for a second. How does that make sense? They say this as gospel. You can't say we enabled this because we vote for them. How does that make sense, though? You vote for someone, put them in power, so you are responsible for everything they did. You can't complain about kids in cages if you voted for Joe Biden, because you did that. And you guys understand, I know this sounds simple to us. Go ahead, Nico. Go ahead, Nico. Let me unmute you.
No, I was saying you can't complain. What you can do is say, I voted for Joe Biden, and therefore I have to be accountable for him putting kids in cages, regardless of whether or not that's convenient for this narrative that I've made for myself about him being the best person or being better than Trump. That's called being accountable. You can't complain and then say it's your fault and then do better the next time. because you can do that. People are adults, but what they want to do is, what AOC? AOC told you what they do. I disassociate from that, bitch. Did you just say I ignore that in using a bunch of syllables? Like that's basically what you said. But you can complain. That is my point. Is like I'm one of those people. There's too many egos involved in politics, and that's probably partially because of the social media aspect of it. And people are now using their politics as, to AOC's point, a major part of their identity, at least the one that they once again project in front of people. But like, whenever you mess up, you can just say, hey man, shit, I got this wrong. How many times we gotta do that about Bernie, about Tulsi, about this bitch, about like time and time and time and time again? That's okay though. You can just say, hey man, shit, we got that one wrong. And figure out why you got it wrong and do better the next time.
Absolutely. Go ahead, CJ.
Absolutely. All right. So let's see how much we can get through here. Let me know when you want to stop.
But at the end of the day, we have to acknowledge that we just can't allow this fascist movement to grow in this country. And what I think is actually hopeful about our politics is that we can exist outside of electoral politics in organizing our communities and standing with our friends. And, you know, if it's coming down to this next election, for me personally, the decision to vote is not a difficult one for me, because like, just because I'm voting for him doesn't mean that he embodies everything about me.
Right.
Why?
So that to me is where I'm at. But I think
we can continue. We can keep going. I just said that's convenient. It's a very convenient ideology for people who vote for the lesser two evils, right? Like,
Bro,
and they say, well, it doesn't matter. We gave power to these people. Don't you know I tweet about this stuff? Is that the implication? I support this, so it doesn't matter that I gave people power or evil. But let's continue.
Bro, she really acting like she said some philosophical shit. Like she was, I can vote for him because he doesn't actually represent me. What the fuck kind of double speak is that, bro? What the?
What's the difference in voting for Trump? What's the difference in voting for Trump then? Couldn't you say the same thing about Trump? You could say the same thing. Like, this is such a flawed. But this is what the professional managerial class, they throw out these things they think sound very like logical, and then it just takes the three of us, guys, it doesn't make any sense because we can spot bullshit. But let's listen a little more. She goes on to now I don't know this show. I don't recognize these two hosts. Maybe she's playing to the audience, but I've heard her speak in these terms about Joe Biden. I don't think it's a coincidence that you see this on a Majority Report, on TYT, on a Humanist Report. Everybody's projecting lesser of two evils all in the same 5-day span.
Please don't tell me
it's not a
coincidence. Still on that shit. Is TYT still on that shit? Are they they're soft pushing it until Cenk backs out, or because you remember I think he's still running. I haven't heard him talk about it in a long time. Until who backs out?
Cenk Uygur. Has he backed out?
I forgot Cenk is running for. Cenk's still running for president. Oh shit!
Yeah, he's still running. Yeah. So here we go.
He's something. I don't know about running. He like slowly
it's
walking. Like
people are gonna get mad on the internet because that's what they do. But I think we just gotta be.
This is specifically about us. When you know you're a sellout, you know when you're saying sellout shit. So you go, I know all the real people, all the real ones are gonna say something about this. And understand, and I say this all the time, and I'm gonna keep repeating until people catch on. The term online, on social media, these are terms to mean dumb worker. It means you're saying a lot, but your voice doesn't matter, worker. That's what that means. Because
even though she's always on fucking Instagram Live.
Exactly. As these people are on the same platforms trying to give their platitudes. But let's listen.
People are going to get mad on the internet because that's what they do. But I think we just got to be adults about the situation and realize.
Remember, crystal ball, grow up. This is about calling you stupid. They always have this terminology around online. Go ahead.
And the funny thing is, and I mentioned this before, when you look at Rome is very online, and he will admit it. Who's more like Rome is very active on Twitter, Facebook, and stuff like that. Someone who you would consider online left. Who does more than Rome? The people who are most likely to post about politics online are the people who are most likely passionate enough to engage in activism. That's the same for everything. I remember I was training Muay Thai. The people who talk about UFC online are the people who usually fucking passionate enough about training about it.
Right.
That's the same with politics. Like the people who post online are the people usually most involved. Do you think people that are not passionate enough about politics talk about it are the people who actually engaged in this shit? The people who are not engaged 24/7, you think those are the people doing activism? It's usually the people you see online. Think about Nico. Think about CJ. Are all the great activists online? Misty, fantastic. She's our guest now. Fantastic Julian Assange activist. She's online.
It's very rare that you have
online. So why is there this demonization of being online as if online doesn't lead to activism in the modern age? You know what I mean? But go ahead, Nico. I think you want to chime in. We bring Misty in.
No, I was just saying that it's very rare that you see an activist who's like in the streets all the time, who is not chronically online as well. Because one, that's kind of how you find out where you need to be a lot of the times, right? And then you find out what other people are trying to, what other issues people are fighting for and need help in collaboration with and resolving. But also, like, she's always online.
Exactly.
That's her whole thing, is being online and mad as hell all the time. Like, she was literally known for this when she came into power, and she's always leaned into it. That's basically her primary funding mechanism. So like, those chronically online, stupid, immature people are good enough for you to accept their donations, for you to accept their votes, for you to accept their retweets and their likes. But they're not smart enough to, because it's those same people who donated to her that are saying they're refusing to vote for Genocide Joe. And now those people are stupid. That's very interesting.
And think about what she's demonizing, guys, when she says this. This is why I want to take it in another direction as well. She's demonizing people who engage politically, the people who engage in political discourse. She's saying, don't do that. The people who engage in political discourse are unserious. The people who don't pay attention are people we should care about. Just think about the core of what she's saying. If you're online left, you're not relevant. Your opinion is not important. Everyone who's watching this on YouTube is apparently online left.
But so online left got her liked it.
Yeah, so think about it. I talk about this all the time.
Literally. If you look at her goddamn party from when she won, it's a bunch of online leftists who went to New York to get her elected. Literally. But just fucking gaslight us to death, I guess. Like,
you basically, online.
She be gaslight. I know there's gonna be a bunch of online people who get mad because you just told us that you're not responsible for your actions as a congresswoman. You just say, yeah, I know Joe's committing genocide, but I disassociate from that. He doesn't. That part of him doesn't. Well, how about this? You know what I like to do? Sometimes people get mad at me because they be like, Nico, you always think you're right. You know what I tell them? I'm not arguing with y'all no more. Tell me when the fuck I was wrong. How about that? In our relationship, tell me when I was wrong. So AOC, tell me what you do associate with from Joe Biden. Tell me what you do support. You notice how she does not have that part of the conversation in any of these interviews that we've been seeing her on lately. It's what we should ignore, not what she actually supports.
Yeah, well said.
Facts. You want to bring in Miss
I won't bring my guest in. Yeah, I won't bring our next guest in. I tell you guys, we got banger after banger after banger in 2024. Right? We got not only Nico House in the house with us, we got another amazing journalist, amazing activist. Someone do amazing. I know Misty always like, man, no. Misty does amazing work for the Julian Assange movement, does great stuff on the show. And I miss our rant sessions, my friend.
Yeah, we're due.
It's been a while. Welcome to RBN once again.
That's crazy. Misty ain't never get her hair done to come on my show, but she goes to RBN.
I always do my hair to come on your show. When's the last time you invited me on your show?
I haven't even invited myself on my show lately. Misty, so don't be too upset. All right.
It's been a minute. I was sitting here waiting for Nico to shut the fuck up so I could come on the damn show.
No, we talking about AOC. You know goddamn well. You know goddamn well.
There's a lot to say about AOC. That's why I said it's perfect that we happen to have the two of you on and had this gem of a video drop. All of us have commented on it. I think I've read or seen at least all of our tweets. So I know we all have a lot to say. We're going to watch maybe another minute or so of this so we can move on to our next topics, but overall, Misty, have you seen the video, and what is your overall thoughts? If you have, if not, we can get right to the video.
I have not seen this video, but I love the comment that's in the comments right now that said I'm the diversity hire on RBN. I'm the token white. I'm the token white. I love it.
All right, so let's listen to the video. Let's listen.
Like that electoral politics is just one. It's just one small sliver of how we make the world better. And if we put all of our eggs into that basket, people start acting way too crazy. And like Donald Trump is what you actually get. Donald Trump is what you actually get when you want a politician to embody all of like your hopes and dreams and like caricatures of yourself.
Yes.
And Donald Trump affirms insecure men's idea of masculinity.
Yes.
They affirm insecure people's idea of wealth.
Internalized misogyny.
Yeah, insecure white folks' idea of race. Like that's what you get when you want your everything to come, all of your like life and identity affirming things to come from electoral politics. You get demagogues, people who want to like symbolize these psychological things.
We had 3 minutes, Mark. I was trying to be disciplined.
Boy, I'm trying to tell you. Oh my God.
But you guys, and I'll be sporting. We got
just as smart as white kids.
No, Nico, go ahead. No, I'll pass you. Go ahead. Expound on that.
Oh my God, bro.
She's so embarrassing.
You know what's wild about the Joe Biden? I always say Joe Biden is, because Donald Trump, at least like for all of our critiques and criticism of Donald Trump, you can't say Donald Trump is not successful. Like you ask any athlete or any star, have they stayed in a Trump hotel at some point? They have. And at one point, they probably liked it and enjoyed it. Joe Biden is literally the epitome of failing up. Whenever people say you can't be president unless you're an idiot, like you can't be president unless you're a racist or complicit with racism, or at least you can't stay president for 4 years without being killed. Like Joe Biden is the epitome of this man plagiarized speeches. This man can't remember what he had for breakfast. This man can't go to the bathroom by himself. He is literally hiding out in the basement right now. This man was literally a segregationist. He got called out on stage by his other Democratic competitors and then brought one of the women he called out to be his VP. And she just act like she ain't see it. She gonna act like she didn't say what she said. Like, are you kidding me? Like, no, like, yeah. Joe Biden is basically what she described as Donald Trump. It's white liberals' way of, if everybody else can ignore Joe Biden's racism, then maybe people can ignore my racism too.
Exactly it, sir.
Yes.
It's the same shit. It's the same shit, but maybe worse. It might be worse, honestly. It's probably worse.
I think it's worse. I genuinely think it's worse. Well, first of all, can we stop pretending that Joe Biden is not demonstrably worse than Donald Trump? Period. End of story. The guy has 50 years in politics doing horrific things. Trump doesn't even come close. They're not even in the same arena. Donald Trump is a piece of shit businessman who screwed people over for his entire life, rigged the system in his own personal favor, took family money to build himself up, did all of those things. But he has not been a politician for 50 years, passing horrendous legislation, being a racist, all of those things. Like, it is absurd to me that anybody is pretending like Donald Trump can even, the guy could have served 2 full terms and he's likely going to, and he still wouldn't come close to doing all of the horrific things that Joe Biden has done over 50 fucking years. Can we stop that? It's so stupid. I'm so tired
World
of that
War III.
conversation.
I don't know how the fuck you can do worse than damn near World War III
Right?
at this point, right?
A genocide. My guy is doing a genocide right now.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Oh,
you would have to go full fucking genocide to compete with Joe Biden. Congratulations.
So you had well, just 1 second, CJ. You had AOC.
Yeah, go ahead.
Essentially describing the Trump cult, and this is why we've been repeating the phrase "blue MAGA." The idea that the Biden cult is they are easily worse than MAGA. The Democrat cult, because remember when they said Trump was like, if I could shoot someone in front of Fifth Avenue or whatever, and Republicans would still vote for me, and they're like, see, this is an example of a Trump cult. Joe Biden is funding a genocide, and y'all still voting for him.
You can shoot somebody, right?
Bro,
I'm not shooting them, but I'm gonna give them the missiles to blow them up.
Bro, what's worse, shooting someone, killing one person, or being responsible for 15,000 Palestinian dead children? The shooting on the Fifth Avenue is worst. Joe Biden committed a genocide, and they still, Olayemi, these shitlibs are still saying they vote for him.
Yeah, but Nick, mean
you guys
tweets.
realize this, and I'm right to you, Miss. You guys realize when the news that Nikki Haley may be Trump's VP was floated, I saw MAGA people for the very first time ever say, I would not vote for Donald Trump and Nikki Haley was the vice president. I would not vote for whether that's true or not.
That's vote for Joe Biden. That's basically vote for dumb. Oh shit! Nah, I can't say dumb Joe Biden because Joe Biden is dumb. Joe Biden with diversity hired Joe Biden. There you go. There you go. Appreciate that from the chat. As diversity hired Joe.
Yet to be seen. But Trump people were saying, "Hey, Trump picked Nikki Haley. I'm out." If Trump picked Chris Christie for vice president, that was out. So, and there are Trump people that say Trump like turn on NATO, they be out. So there is a cultist element in Trump in the Trump base, I believe as well. Yes. But it's way less culty than Democrats because based on what I see, Trump supporters got a red line. If he picked Nikki Haley, Biden supporters have
and
no
a lot
red
of them
line.
banned ship for Vivek too. Like a lot of them thought. I mean, that's a whole different conversation between them. But they thought Vivek was better. So you had Candace Owens, Mike Cernovich, and a bunch of Trump supporters actually saying, "Well, this guy seems more close to what we actually want out of Trump than Trump has been, and therefore we're willing to give him a chance." So, like, you don't see that with Biden. Biden, you still got his supporters pretending like there was never a primary.
To be fair, though, Biden voters, it's not really about Biden. It's vote blue, no matter who. It is the blue cult. That is the worst type of cult. It doesn't matter. Yes, it is because there's nothing. It's so frustrating because that's the way our entire political environment is set up. It is incredibly tribal. It is so unbelievably tribal, and people completely lose their ability for critical thinking. They completely lose their ability to recognize reality. And what's so frustrating is, like we just talked about, if my team does it, it's fine, totally fine. Joe Biden's doing a genocide, but it's fine, guys. But if Donald Trump were doing that, can you fucking imagine? Can you imagine how different?
Bro, the world went crazy when he put the embassy in Jerusalem.
Yes.
Like they wouldn't shut up about it.
Liberals wouldn't shut the fuck up about it. It's crazy. Joe Biden is
AOC
on vacation.
I disassociate from his genocide, though. I definitely disassociate from his genocide.
Yeah, but Joe Biden's on vacation. He's been on vacation like all the time, right? All of the times he's on fucking vacation. Trump went to like golf too many times, and liberals were freaking the fuck out. You're not mad because Joe Biden's on a beach in the middle of a genocide? Like you're fine with that? That's cool. It's just the absolute hypocrisy is so exhausting. It sucks.
Exhausting. Let me get back to the video.
Things. Joe Biden doesn't do that. And I think that's actually a good thing.
Yeah, right.
Because it's more honest, I think, about where we are, whether we like it or not.
He's our grandpa.
What?
He's our grandpa from our alcoholic stepfather that abused us for 4 years.
So your pedophile grandpa.
Joe Biden literally is the alcoholic stepfather who abuses fucking his daughter for fucking years. That's literally him.
Yeah. No, to be fair, he is kind of the grandpa. He's more like the abusive grandpa. He's not really uncle.
No, he literally abused his daughter. That's why his daughter never goes on the campaign trail.
He's abused many people on camera. He's been physically inappropriate with dozens of children and women, period. On camera.
Exactly. Like, it's like, oh, it might be like, do y'all realize? It's like they have the lack of self-awareness, bro.
I know.
Lack of self-awareness. Like, oh, man, you're going to say something that literally applies to Joe Biden? Seriously? like
deep in a red state and a lifelong Democrat. Does the Democratic Party, because we got so dicked over by Ruth Bader Ginsburg, does the Democratic Party have a backup plan between now and November should Joe Biden fall prey to some sort of medical emergency that you're aware of? And I think as a voter, it's a very reasonable question to ask considering his advanced age.
I think it's a super reasonable question to ask. I do not know, to be honest. I think what people tend to look at is just line of succession in terms of the job itself. But, it is something that I think is a reasonable question to ask. And there are,
why did they even bring her on the show?
Running, but haven't.
She was so unprepared for that question. Go ahead. That can be it. We can.
I've never seen someone use so many words without saying any goddamn thing. I was literally getting so mad. I was getting so irrationally mad listening to that.
Yeah.
Bruh. You know what this says, though? You know what this says, though, guys?
Biden's not going to be the nominee.
Well, it says that, but more importantly, she said they usually will rely on a line of succession
not going to be the
these type of
replacement.
things. There is nobody. The Democratic Party does not have a successor. I've already said this before on my show. The DOC is done. Hillary and Bill have no clout. That shit's done, especially after this Epstein situation. Joe Biden is basically the last member of the DOC that hasn't been president or hasn't run out of clout. After Joe Biden, there is nobody left, which is the only reason Kamala ever ended up in power to begin with.
Yeah.
The Democratic Party is about to start vying for power. It's already started in a lot of ways. They've already started vying for power, but they need Joe Biden to win, not necessarily because they're worried about, because I don't think that even if Joe Biden wins, I think Republicans are going to probably sweep Congress and the Senate regardless, right? Because of how horrible everything is literally worse. I can't really go into all the details because it would take 3 days, but there is nobody left, and they need the 4 years to figure out who. When I say who's going to get power, who they're going to be loyal to, they need to figure out who's going to have the power. I always say, like, it's like this: who's going to have the power to protect me when I do illegal shit and make money for it?
Yeah, honestly,
I can take over a country like Ukraine, take over a country like Haiti, take over a country like that, and not be accountable for it. And there's nobody like that right now.
Michelle Obama, I think.
She don't got that kind of power.
I think she does. I think she does.
What she has
with the Democrats,
they gotta see it. They need to see it. She has to. It's like with Hillary. Hillary made she made the Clinton Foundation prior to running for office and to being the head of the State Department. Like with Bush, we already knew a Bush. I mean, that's CIA city up there. Even with Obama has the lineage and the background, and honestly, he was just easily manipulated. But a lot of people say it was really Joe Biden running that administration the entire time, and we already knew his ties with Ukraine. So like they need somebody that can get away with whatever and prove that if I get in league with you, because you're gonna sell your soul to back whatever Democrat ends up winning the nomination in the future anyway. But if you're gonna do that, you need to know that there are certain assurances that no one anymore after Joe Biden leaves has the power to give.
Yeah, they're struggling. They have no bench. They've been trying to groom some people, Gretchen Whitmer, Pete Buttigieg, which was a whole ass mess. Gavin Newsom, obviously. There's some people that they're trying desperately to get ready to take over that role. And I really think Michelle Obama is, I don't know if that's something she's even interested in, but I think that she is certainly somebody that could step in and certainly woo the Democratic Party. I mean, there's no question about it. Everybody still loves Obama. They think he's the best thing since sliced bread. They think the only controversy was the tan suit, as he's out there dropping more drones than anybody else and starting 5 new wars and bombing people so much that he literally ran out of bombs. But just a tan suit, you guys, that's it. So I think Michelle Obama certainly has that kind of, and she's incredibly charismatic too, which I think is something that somebody like Pete Buttigieg is definitely missing. So I think that they're struggling really hard to find that kind of transition person, because you're right, it's kind of like old guard, new guard. They have like these old hats who have been hanging around forever.
I think you guys are speaking on one person who I find to be such a threat, but she's so cringe. Jasmine Crockett. She's the new star. I think she's too young.
Who's that?
Oh, Crockett.
She's the one that defending Hunter Biden. She did the impeachment hearing. She's like, I'm gonna have a ghetto accent. I'm gonna talk slang.
Oh! You don't gotta worry about her. You don't gotta worry about her.
Why you say that, Nico? Why you say that? I'm kidding.
Because all the Epstein money that's tied to the Epstein money that's tied to getting her elected.
Yeah,
y'all don't know. Her island is literally off. The Epstein Island is literally off the coast of her island, and the only way it could have existed and gotten away with all the shit that they got away with is if she allowed it to. Yeah. So they don't want that coming back.
We see, but the media is trying to make it happen. There had been a coordinated push. She's on like CNN, MSNBC at least once a week. So they're trying to make her a thing. We see. I don't know how old she is. I think she'd probably be eligible 2028, but I think she's a sleeper, fam. Because the Democrats love her. And she didn't have that you know how like AOC and the squad, whether deserved or not, had this negative connotation within the Democrat Party. Like Democrats were initially hesitant towards them.
Yeah.
Deserved or not, that's how they was. There was never that with Jasmine Crockett. Like she's immediately propelled to start. And that's why I think she's the future star. I may be wrong, but I got super chat, but any last words before we move on?
Yeah, any last words on this topic before we move?
No, fuck AOC. She's an idiot. I mean, that's about it. Yeah.
That sums it up.
Yeah, time to rant about some foreign policy. I know I have Misty on, so we definitely gonna do that. We got Nick on, we can definitely gonna do that. I have a mini segment that I want to do this first, just because it's kind of connected to your segment. It's the abandoned Biden segment. But let me read a few of these super chats first. Thank for the 999 Cowblow K. Hi Nick and CJ live from Somali community. What's popping in Minneapolis? Nick, check out Somali cuisine in KC Independence. I might have to check that out. Pretty much just someone giving a shout out and love. So big shout out to our friend Cowblow. That's the first time I see that name. So I appreciate, at least as far as I know, appreciate the super chat and welcome to the community, my friend. Thank you for the 999 back from the road. Revolutionary change requires revolutionary actions. We can never expect this from petty bourgeoisie. It's silly to wait for class traders to save us. Organize along class, agitate, and make change. Crystal Ball will tell you to grow up. Grow up. Vote for Marianne Williamson. Trust the process.
Nah, Crystal Ball, I'll have to tell you to dye your hair blonde and get double earrings.
Yeah, Slim Shady.
Yeah.
Thank you for the $5, Kyle, for a solidarity super sticker. So I want to show you. I want to do this story first because it kind of relates to how the progressive.
Damn, is that Kyle's fucking Indian twin brother? What the?
Bro, Nick,
it does look like a dark cow.
Y'all be careful what y'all put out in the universe, man. Y'all be careful now. I should have come back.
Squint your eyes and you'll see it. You can see it.
That's crazy.
Nico, chill.
Go ahead, Nick. Go ahead, Nick.
But I see it. So people don't have no idea how badly screwed the Democratic Party is with the Biden movement. If you guys don't know, I did an interview with this guy who's part of the media arm of the abandoned Biden movement. He has an article he's writing. He interviewed me as part of his article because he saw one of my viral tweets while I was covering it. He asked me, he brought me on so I can talk about how Black people can relate to the Muslim community leaving the Democratic Party, the parallels that we see with what's going on with Gaza. And generally, there's been a long-standing connection between the Palestinian and African-American community, South African community. But I am proud to say I think it's been stronger. I think it's strongest it's ever been.
Yeah.
Like the amount, how close our communities together, that is not a lot of positive to take out these days, but that's something that's huge because that's something we talk about as well. Like the Palestinians right now in this tragedy, they see who got their back. The lawyers in South Africa, they are civil rights heroes, and they will be for the rest of their life. They know the Irish got their back, and they know Black Americans have their back, and they're extremely appreciative. I talked to this guy, and I can't wait to show when the article come out. I'm gonna do a segment about it because I'm gonna be on it as well. He's like closely connected to these people. He's like, fam, the media is not even reporting how big this is. Like, you guys think it's just a fucking little thing? Like, there's apathy. You know how like there are presidents and politicians who piss people off if they don't come out and vote. That's what happened to politicians who lose. They suffer apathy and disappoint. That is not what's going on right now. I am saying something for the first time. There are people who didn't care about politics in the Muslim community. They're like, okay, I care about politics now. I want to destroy Joe Biden. What about Trump? I don't know anything about politics. I want to destroy Joe Biden. What about the Supreme Court? I don't care about anything about politics. I want to destroy Joe Biden. So he activated people who are apathetic.
Yeah.
And got those people into politics just to destroy their party. So it's more than that. Not only are Democrats,
it's important to know why they're not getting really quick. It's important to know why they're not getting attention, Nick, because they're not jumping ship and joining the Republican Party and trying to use Trump's name to make money.
Yeah,
that's different. Rico. Yes, that's a great point. That's a great point. In fact, I'm gonna play.
We fuck Joe Biden. Well, what about are you a Republican? No, fuck Joe Biden. Well, then who are you gonna? No. I think you're misunderstanding me. Fuck Joe Biden. I ain't asked for all that extra shit, and they don't like that.
Yeah,
they don't like that.
Yeah.
So this is their Facebook page, and I've been in contact with them. I'm gonna bring they're gonna come on the RBN here very soon. And the good thing is I talked to that guy. He's a media arm of their campaign. He's gonna hook us up with the people who started the movement. That's something I'm working on. We talked about it the other day, CJ. We're gonna do. We think about doing a Palestine summit. I want to bring these people on. I want to bring the Palestinian Community Network. That's probably gonna be our next summit that we do. So I just want to play this video. They're not a long segment, CJ. I think this fit based on what you just covered. So let's listen to the abandoned Biden people here. And then it was on Face the Nation. And the Face the Nation part is hilarious because these people went on Face the Nation and scared white liberals all over the country because they realized that this is real. So let's get to the video. Feel free to interrupt anytime, guys. Hopefully, I usually don't use Facebook, so hopefully this works well. I usually avoid it, but They got big presence on Facebook. So.
Message is not only for my community in Dearborn, Michigan, the Muslim capital of America, but it cuts across state lines. It is directed to every single Muslim American. Fundraising for humanitarian aid in Gaza is important, but it's not what's most important right now. Raising awareness by other means is important, but that's not what's most important right now. This is what's most important right now. A ceasefire is what's most important right now. The people of Gaza, whose voices have been amplified by the likes of the courageous Bassam, Palestia, Mu'taz, and many other on-the-ground heroes, have made themselves clear. Anyone who has the ability to put an end to this violence, no matter how small their ability is, let them use their power to do so. This is our chance to do so. This is our duty towards our brothers and sisters in Gaza. So I'm asking you to join us in pressuring the Biden administration to call for a ceasefire now. Join us in abandoning Biden. This message is not
only different than other groups that we are upset about Biden. No, they're telling people to leave.
Straight up.
That's different than other people that are upset. We want an anti-Asian hate bill or what?
Push him left.
Push him left.
Oh man, don't even remind me of that shit. Oh my god. We can push.
And can I just say that I love that she shouted out the journalists on the ground because y'all, it's not even possible for me to comprehend what they are dealing with as journalists on the ground. They know that they're being targeted. They know that their families are being targeted. And the only reason why we have as much information as we have about what's happening on the ground in Gaza is because of those journalists. And there's not enough praise for them. There's just not.
And I wish I could remember the guy's name. Shout out to the guy who made it possible for them to have internet there. Because when they reached out to Elon Musk, y'all know he didn't answer the phone like he did for Ukraine.
Funny how that works.
Yeah, I know. It's very interesting.
Hey, he's busy hanging out with Ben Shapiro. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, right?
Yeah.
In Auschwitz, the irony.
Yeah.
Like the fucking Auschwitz
holding a
survivors.
paper that says never again as he's openly supporting again. You know what I mean?
Again.
Yeah.
The people who pretend that Elon Musk was an anti-establishment fighter.
Don't get me started.
How do they have credibility? Like the same way that people probably John Thurman. How do these people maintain credibility after stuff like that? Like I haven't been right about everything. I never think L that bad.
How much shit do we get from conservatives whenever we were like, y'all think that fucking Musk buying Twitter is a good thing?
I took so much shit. I took so much shit from my libertarian and my conservative friends. Yes, I have them come for me. I don't give a fuck. So much shit. Oh, come on. He's an outsider. He's anti. He has multiple, numerous, very lucrative contracts with the military industrial complex, the Department of Defense, the CIA, intelligence across the globe. Are you joking? He is not a fucking outsider. Oh my God.
They allowed him to
SpaceX is literally a weapon system.
I told you guys at the very beginning, they allowed him to cosplay as a free speech affluence for his business.
Free speech,
but the second that the Pentagon called a favor, he jumped real quick because he got contracts. You can't expect those people to support you. Meanwhile, let's move on to this part. I don't want this segment to be too long. This is just another headline real quick. Muslim leaders expand campaign to abandon Biden in 2024 over Israel-Hamas war. And Siege, I'm telling you, once I get this panel together that I'm trying to, it's going to be a banger because the media is ignoring these people for a reason. And I think they have been directly underreporting this. This is the last clip. Once again, this is not a long segment here. One more clip. These people want to face the nation, and they scare white liberals.
Can I make a quick suggestion? Do just really briefly do a segment with these people. Can I also suggest that maybe you do a segment with them and like Jewish Voices for Peace or something like that? Like you know what I mean? Because I think that would be incredibly powerful to have both.
I'm always down for suggestions. So if anyone want to help us put this together, our goal is to put on the biggest banger of a free Palestine live stream event ever. So I'm down for whatever idea that will make it good.
We should do like a massive 24-hour like continuous stream with like anybody, like get Max Blumenthal and Aaron and
we calling in favor for everybody. CJ, you realize we calling in favor for everybody for this.
Yeah,
everybody getting a favorite called in. But I want to play this. I'm definitely gonna be hitting you up, Misty, as well, Nico. Because it's gonna be a thing. I don't know. We're in the prehistoric stages of planning, but it's gonna happen later this year.
It's coming.
in our focus group of Michigan voters, actually, no, I'll just play the video. I don't want to spoil it. It's good.
You did change your mind.
Yes.
On the president. Why?
I was a champion for Joe Biden until October 7th. I feel he's disowned us, disenfranchised us with his stance on Gaza.
What do you mean by that?
He's not listening to us. We are asking for a ceasefire at this time. It's a humanitarian catastrophe in Gaza. Too many lives are being lost at this time. I was never a single issue voter. In fact, I used to argue with people not to be single issue voters, but for me, this is a deal breaker.
Can I just say though, why were you a champion for Joe fucking Biden,
Right.
one of the biggest Zionists on planet Earth before October 7th? That makes no sense to me whatsoever. None. Maybe he just didn't know. Maybe
they painted over. You got how many? Missy, how many people didn't know about him being a fucking segregationist?
Yeah,
If
that's
he's
true.
new to the country, then odds are he wasn't around for the worst of Joe Biden, and the perceived credibility. Then he also got the benefit from the perceived credibility of being Obama's vice president, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of people just didn't know, and it wasn't affecting them.
That's fair.
Ironically, he lives in Michigan. So also it's important to understand the Arab and Muslim community in Michigan is very tight knit. So a lot of them are successful for Michiganders because of that network in that community. So this is the first thing that probably stood out, outside of the pandemic, but a lot of that they blame on Gretchen Whitmer, which is probably rightful to do so. But yeah, a lot of them just didn't know any better. The issues that matter to them, they were good on. And even though they're they're not a single issue voter, I mean, I'm sure he would still be a single issue voter if one of those things went bad. But this was the thing that probably put the nail in the coffin.
Yeah, I'm gonna be positive. Be positive here with this guy. Good for him. Good for him.
Yes, I'm glad he came around. Yes.
Came around, realized that this thing where you shame people for being quote unquote one issue. God, one issue is all it takes. You guys realize that?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I support you. I support wage increases. I support healthcare increases. I support affordable housing. Yeah, for the genocide over there. I support things like wait, right. What was that? What was the other thing you said? He named single issue voter. Yeah, basically hate black
they
people.
always talk about it when it's like some people are single issue voters based off of something positive that they might get. But most people with a moral compass are single issue voters because of something like Gaza, because of something like Ukraine, because of something small like World War III, for example, shit like that, that could end all life on the fucking planet.
Yeah.
So there are some single issues that are okay to not vote for somebody for it. I think that's okay. But I'm happy that he ain't the only one. He just saying it out loud, to be honest.
Yeah.
No. There's lots of yes. Yeah.
This is the sentiment that is wide. And this is anecdotal. I tell you guys, this is anecdotal. I talked to one guy, but it's a source. The guy who's a media arm of the Biden movement. And what he's saying is they have no resistance, in flipping people. And me, Nico, CJ, we probably can attest to this. I have a good success rate flipping people, black people against Democrats, but there's always a little bit of resistance. They say as soon as they show people pictures, they on board.
Yeah.
The conversion rate is high. The guy, he was telling me they feel extremely good about this. I'm talking to the guy off camera and all this stuff. He guys have no idea how big it's going to get. They got a large movement right now. He said by the time we get in November, there are Muslims right now, just like anyone who's not paying attention. He wait till we reach everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Wait until then. Anyway,
I can't imagine being Muslim and supporting Joe fucking Biden. I can't.
Yeah.
I can't. I just cannot. I cannot.
Yes. I can't imagine being black and supporting Biden, let alone.
I can't imagine being anybody and supporting any politician. Any politician.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but as they find the genocide of your people and you vote, that is a next level of
it is different because they're genociding them because they're Muslim, right? They're genociding them because they're Arab. It's the Iraq War. People were complicit because of who they are and how they see them. That's completely different than and they had oil, right? Which is completely different than what's happening in Israel, which is nobody's innocent. They're okay with killing kids.
Yeah.
Why? Because they're not us. The fuck? They're Muslim. They're
So
even if they aren't actually Muslim, because they're killing Christians. They're you know what I'm saying? They're killing Christians. They're actually probably even killing some Jewish people over there, because there are Jewish Arabs that live in Palestine, ironically.
For sure. Yes.
Like they're killing everybody. Like
They're
just if you
literally gassing.
associate with a Muslim, they're killing you. They're literally, as we speak, right before I hopped on here, bruh, they are taking the family members of hostages who are speaking out against Israel to jail as we speak.
How crazy is it that Israel, they are the country right now that are currently gassing Jews right now. There was an IDF soldier that was gassed, and the Gray Zone covered this, and they are literally implementing the Hannibal Directive, gassing people, hostages that may say something regarding the war that they don't want the public to hear. But let me finish it because we're gonna wrap the segment up. I want to play the clip all the way through, get final thoughts, and
hey, but also shout out to the Gray Zone. Man, they're killing it. Fucking killing it. Doing great stuff.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. I'm gonna play this clip all the way through, get final reactions, and then I have another segment, and then I pass this to you, CJ, after that.
Yeah, I got one. I just got one more segment after that, and then we can close.
Yeah, and then we're gonna be talking about the international rules-based order. But I want you guys to hear his argument in full. You guys get final reactions if you want, and then we can move on afterwards.
He's not listening to us. We are asking for a ceasefire at this time. It's a humanitarian catastrophe in Gaza. Too many lives are being lost at this time. I was never a single issue voter. In fact, I used to argue with people not to be single issue voters, but for me, this is a deal breaker. Way too many lives have been lost.
When you say us, you're Muslim. Is that what you mean? You
Look how terrified these white. What do you mean us? Is this prevalent or just bro? This shit aired on Face the Nation, and you can see the fear in the Biden administration.
think the Muslim community here feels as you do?
Yes, I think a vast majority of Muslims, Arab Americans, even progressives who I identify myself as a progressive, and many people that I talk to in my circles are not going to be voting for Joe Biden.
Like I said, people have no idea how big this is going to be, and I'm going to be following this story with great interest throughout the year. So I'll give panel any last thought, CJ. Anything?
Yeah, let me actually because I had this segment. I never got to it 2-3 weeks ago.
Well,
let me
CJ,
just
you
show
can do
a couple
segment.
of headlines.
Go ahead.
Yeah, just a couple of headlines for the same segment, and that's this. It's sort of the same thing. If you didn't know, you were speaking to this, but maybe didn't say it explicitly. They've expanded abandoned Biden to 50 states. Literally, they had a news conference and everything, and said, we're no longer doing battleground states anymore. We're doing all 50 states. I'm going to show you a 90-second video where the guy is shouting it out. But this headline here, U.S. Muslims leaders plan to abandon Biden in 2024 election over Gaza. And it goes into detail. I won't read it all for the sake of time, but I'll read this second part here. The recently launched Abandon Biden campaign says on its website that the Biden administration failure to call for a ceasefire in Israel war on besieged Gaza Strip prompted community leaders to take action. And I wanted to read that part because they're not even asking for too much. They're not even saying like stop funding this genocide. They're just simply saying, hey, can you just stop the killings that are going on right now? And then the other thing I wanted to show was this last receipt where at the news conference, there were several people that showed up. This one is almost like an instructive theme. It comes on, it came in this way, as you can see. Like, these people are serious. You can see they made like a phone version of it. You can download it in an app and all of this stuff. They're serious about this. But let's listen to this video. It's like a minute and 15 seconds, and then we'll move on to the next segment.
I stand here today in my individual capacity, and as a person of conscience and a person of faith, we stood and we declared almost a month ago, 1 month into the genocide that is unfolding in Gaza, to announce that the Muslim community has abandoned President Biden. And now with more than 75 days of the onslaught and the continuing genocide that is unfolding in Gaza, I'm here to say that at my personal capacity, not have I only abandoned President Biden, but I will do everything in my personal capacity to campaign against President Biden in the upcoming election. As a person of faith, as a person of conscience, I cannot support someone who funds, facilitates a genocide and refuses to call for a ceasefire to protect human life. And let this as well serve as a message not only to the current administration, but any administration to come in the future, and specifically the Democratic Party, that the Muslim community will not stay silent, and people of faith and people of conscience and people of justice will not stay silent to witness a genocide unfold. And we need to put an end and demand a ceasefire as soon as we can.
That's the final. That's the final video, final receipt. Any comments? If not, we can go to Super Chats, Nick, and the next segment.
Yeah, we can move.
I just gotta say once again, it's very important to remember. He just said, "I'm campaigning against Biden." So, for those people out there, y'all see them getting gaslighted. Oh, they're support you. No, they didn't say that. They said they campaigned against Biden.
Yeah.
And Biden had every opportunity to win those voters. I mean, a lot of them are literally making it clear, yeah, we were going to vote for him until this shit.
Did you guys see the Biden video where he said that where he was confronted about this and the loss of supporters, Muslim supporters, and he blamed it, or he said that Trump wants to ban them from entering the country. I mean, are we really doing that again? I would listen. I don't like the fact that we're going to ban anybody from coming either, but I would much rather you ban people than bomb them every day of the week, all day.
That is literally, Misty, that is literally what the person I talked to said to me. The person I talked to on the Bannon Biden campaign, he literally, I mentioned that as well. He's like, yeah, the idea, everyone in the community felt the same way. Like, bro, if he told me specifically, if I were given the choice to deport myself or say to Palestinians, you know what I'm choosing real quick?
Right?
Real quick. Like, Nico, CJ, will you get deported from this country to prevent a genocide of Black people?
Yeah,
okay.
100%.
So why do they think this is a threat to them? So that's a great point. But let's move on. Appreciate you for giving some membership. Also, Neymar Taco with gifting some membership. We appreciate you guys for the support. Make sure you guys check to see if you still subscribe, like, and share the stream. We got Nico and Misty in the house today. By the way, another banger. I told you guys we're gonna banger after banger after banger this year. Q Anthony Amene joined me at Nick at Night. Been a while since we had my brother on, so he been killing it, bro. Zionists hate him. Zionists been hating him recently. So you guys know Nick at Night on Tuesday. We're gonna rip the Zionists on Tuesday. So let's get into one of the consequences of Israel's rampage of Gaza. So as someone who's been following this issue for quite some time now, it's wild to see everything almost come to like a head and a climax right now. Like we knew that Israel we knew it would be the end game of the Likud movement. You know what I mean? This is why people were so passionate about it. This is why Nico House been passionate about this. This is why Comrade Misty been passionate about this. This is why there's a documentary by Max Blumenthal called Killing Gaza. He's been passionate about it. That's why Abby Martin has a documentary about it. This has been a top issue for the left for years. Liberals are just now understanding why, because people knew this would be and what would happen to the Palestinians if we didn't do anything to bring Israel to heel. Right? So now, and I may be wrong because obviously the future is unpredictable, but I feel like we were hitting like the climax. You know how you get like a climax of a story? We're getting to like the climax of the Zionist project, and it either goes we free Palestine or they finish off the genocide. And now they're just Israel. It's going to end one of two ways. But Nico, I think feel free to interrupt during this segment because we're just talking about it.
I was going to say I think that it won't end in the genocide of Palestine. I just think that there are too many people who have too much power on the line, and it just, not that they're necessarily against genocide. I want to be clear about that. But once again, if we're in a situation where they don't feel that there is someone who can maintain their power, then they're not. Like Netanyahu can't even keep power in his own country. They're campaigning outside his fucking house, protesting outside his house for him to resign right fuck now.
Well,
his own people don't like him.
Yeah, he was
Exactly. Part of the reason allegedly that he's starting these wars too is because Israel allegedly can't hold an election if they're at war, right? Yeah. So like Netanyahu can't save a damn soul, no more than Zelensky can save anybody because he doesn't really have any power. So I just feel like we are at the climax, but I do feel that ultimately it won't even come from outside of the U.S. or outside of Israel. I think that they're going to be taken down basically from the inside. I think that that's where we've seen it. I think we've seen, I've been paying attention. There's a growth of activists, of anti-war activists within Israel that have been coming because their families, some of them are seeing the research outside of that lens of Israel propaganda. And they're learning, Y'all knew about this fucking attack
Yeah.
and didn't do shit. Y'all the ones who killed all of these people, all these Israelis, right? You're the reason that my family went to, or my mom, my dad, my sister, my brother is fighting war in Gaza right now, responsible for killing. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of those people that we see the TikTok videos of the people who want to be there. We don't see the TikTok videos of the people who get drafted and are being forced to go.
Yeah.
Right. That type of PTSD that comes from going to Iraq and then figuring out after you got there that was a wrong decision. So I think that the collapse of Israel and Zionism is actually going to come from, ironically, inside of Zion.
I agree.
Well said. And the international community has enough. I just did a hotspot about this actually. You're going to have investigations into the apartheid state of Israel as well. It is not binding like the genocide charges, but this is very important for the rhetorical defeat of Israel. So they've
already lost that. They've already lost that. The propaganda war, the PR war, that they're done. Like I think that's what Nico's kind of speaking about, is that physically they may be inflicting an incredible amount of damage, destruction, chaos, and death on Gaza right now, but they are done. They're done. Yeah. Like it is over for them. They have completely overplayed their hand. And I think that there's no going back now. I think too many people have been exposed to the truth now, the reality, because I think prior to, and I honestly think it's a lot to do with the advent of social media and having these on the ground journalists in real time, y'all. How many lies have they been caught in since October 7th? It is a lot, dozens, maybe
more
hundreds.
Than I've ever seen.
It's in real time. People are able to debunk that stuff, and that's never happened before. I mean, there's been flare-ups of this conflict in previous years, 2014. I mean, all the way back to 1948 and even before. But I think that now we have the ability to in real time debunk that stuff. I think that they're done. Like the lie of Israel has now been fully exposed to the world, and there's no going back at this point.
They lost Joanne Reed, y'all. They lost Joanne Reed. They lost old girl from BBC that she was on their side and she flipped in the middle of this controversy.
Lots of people.
Like I've never seen so many people literally flip. Like
Brazil.
I ain't seen a pro-Israel Tucker Carlson tweet. I don't know.
They've been avoiding like the plague. They've been avoiding this topic like the plague.
Hey, but you know what that means.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like if
exactly.
he's avoiding like the plague, that means it's a losing fight. That's what that means.
That's a great point, Nico. Now I'm gonna show you guys. This is the point I was making, because I am seeing the strategy now. I covered this in my hotspot video, because the strategy was to have South Africa go first, because symbolically that's powerful. To have these people who grew up under apartheid, they learned the law. Go after. Now you have Slovenia, you have Ireland, you have Brazil, you have all these people join the genocide charges, and then you have Indonesia. That is, and this is what you're talking about, Nico. The Indonesia, they have the suit that to look into what the apartheid of the Palestinian people in the occupation.
The occupation. But there's a difference though. The South Africa things at the ICJ and then the Indonesia things through the ICC, those are two separate courts. So just so that's clear, that it's two separate things that are going on. The ICC is corrupt as fuck. They both are.
And it's non-binding, and I want you guys to realize, and this is why I covered at even with the ICJ, it's upon the UN Security Council to implement the ruling, which means that there's going to be and this is a lot of people forgetting, like even the ICJ rules in our favor, we got to still address the beast in the room, the United States. I'll just read a few more of the receipts and I'll move on.
They're the ones who have to basically sentence, right? Or to recommend what to do. Like basically they're the ones, the UN Security Council decides what to do next. Ooh, that's going, somebody getting fucking, imagine being the person who got to sit there and try to veto that shit. I learned that out of 88 vetoes that the US has done, I think like 58 of them or 56 of them are to defend Israel, like in the history of the UN. So imagine being that 50, the 60th or the 59th. I would not want to be on there after this ICJ ruling, bro.
Yeah, and also
done, nobody gonna want to be associated with that shit.
Yeah, bro. It is, and this goes along with our segment. We've seen the collapse of the international rules-based order. Like I'm going a roundabout way of covering it, but that's the point of the segment. The international rules-based order is is about to be dismantled real quick. Look at this here. China's ambassador to the UN says it's high time to implement the two-state solution with concrete steps and called for full membership for Palestine in the UN. You also have China that said the same thing. We are seeing international pressure come in a big way. And now with South Africa with their ironclad case against Israel, it's not even Israel on trial anymore. It's the international rules-based order that is on trial right now. You had
I think the two-state solution, though, is a pipe dream. It's never going to happen, nor do I think it should. Israel has, they have completely given away their right to exist if they ever had one. Sorry, you don't get to commit a genocide and then get to keep your state. Fuck off.
I agree. That's the argument I made to Marianne Wilson that blew her mind, and she called me a mansplainer. So I definitely agree with that. I was just covering. This shows that the world is.
I don't see it. I don't see them disallowing. I don't see them disallowing Israel to exist.
No, I don't either. But that's my opinion.
It's just they gotta have some white people in charge, bro. Unless they just buy off every Palestinian politician in advance.
Yeah.
But like that's right beside Lebanon, Afghanistan, Syria. Like they're not gonna allow, they would much quicker allow a two-state solution than a one-state, even though I agree. They don't have a right to exist. Technically, no state has a right to exist.
No.
I don't know why people don't understand that. Like most of these motherfucking countries are built on stolen land, or they took the people who lived in that land and used it as slave labor to build what they want to call quote unquote civilization. So like none of these motherfucking states for the most part deserve to exist. There's very few that do. The argument somehow that Israel has a right to exist is fucking dumb.
That's the weakest argument. That's the argument I laugh in someone's face. They make it like no nation has the right to exist, and if any nation doesn't have the right to exist, if there's any nation that doesn't have the, let's ask the inverse of that. Who doesn't have the right to exist? I don't know. Apartheid state.
Yeah.
The state where Palestinians that live in Israel are not allowed to tweet about what's happening in the West Bank or Gaza, or they will be arrested, tortured, and killed. I don't know. That state doesn't deserve to exist if anyone doesn't.
Yeah.
No, I mean
that's little Nazi Germany. That's little Nazi Germany. Like I don't know what. Like you're killing your own people for talking about that. Like it's insane, bro. Like,
for the sake of time, I'm gonna just read the headlines of these articles. No need to read it because in general, what they're doing is melting down about the fall of U.S. influence, and the Israel-Gaza war and the Ukraine war plays such a huge role in this, fam.
Mm-hmm.
I have been greatly amused at how badly the Biden administration and their little snarly liberal neocons have tanked U.S. influence. Because remember when they said that Donald Trump was going to be the person who destabilizes the United States standing in the world? Everything they said about Donald Trump was true of Joe Biden.
Yep.
Now, let me read it. Let me read this headline, and then we can quickly wrap up here. This segment. How should the West respond to China's challenge to the rules-based international order? I read another one here. I'll just read a few headlines quickly. A multipolar world defines the rules-based order. In this article, I may read at Nick at night when I have more time on my own. This article in particular is hilarious. Like just a person who's just talking about the situation, but it's full cope. They talking about how look at this sentence here, just to show you just how the tone of this article. Russia and China believe the decline of U.S. global power is necessary and inevitable, the result being a more just world in which U.S. power is constrained and multiple centers of power operate. Sound pretty base for me. And he says, for the U.S. and allies, these arguments are dishonest. It's like, son, these arguments are not true. They're dishonest. No, that argument makes 100% sense to me.
Yeah.
Right? So there is meltdown over the fall of the international rules-based order. And on CNN, there's this clip here. I see you got Eastern time. You get Nico, how much time you got, by the way? I just want to check.
About 3 more minutes.
No,
okay.
Maybe you should let him bounce out before.
Yeah,
the video might be playing.
Yeah, I know Nico got a show today, so I don't. You
I do. I'm
gonna get you out of here. Missy, I got one. This is my last clip, and I'm done for today, CJ. And then you do your last segment, and we can wrap.
I just want to say,
go ahead.
I'm good for an hour.
They find it
shout out your stuff, and then we'll get back to that.
These are it's like, okay, give us an example of why these are baseless. Give us an example. What is China wrong about? What is anybody wrong about? I can't believe. No, y'all literally funding a genocide. Y'all literally funded the decimation of an entire generation, multiple generations of Ukrainian men.
Mm-hmm.
Literally. They're going to be a bunch of 18, 19-year-old women with a bunch of 60-year-old sugar daddies in Ukraine because they're responsible for the decimation of generations.
Yeah.
Right? Like, ironically, they're funded two neo-Nazi movements at the same fucking time. Yeah, like, anything is better than this. I have actually, and what's crazy is, I actually have a problem with some of the soft power imperialism of China. That's what's crazy. Some people are like, oh, you're pro. No. I'm not pro any empire or big government. Like, because they enable, people forget there's elements of China that enable the hyper capitalism of the US. They benefited from it, right? And they were able to use that to their advantage in Africa and other, but literally, that is still better than bombing somebody into fucking oblivion and paying for it. That is still better than funding neo-Nazism and then allowing innocents to get decimated. Not to mention all the Africans that were living in Ukraine that got killed just for existing after the neo-Nazis were emboldened by the Biden government and Zelensky's government, right? Like, anything at this point is better than this world that has been ruled by, you can call it the United States, but let's be honest. I guess at this point, we know the truth. It's really Zionism. It's really Zionism. That's what the empire is, right? You know, the king doesn't rule from like the land that his peasants live on. He rules from a little place at the top of the hill, and he looks down on everybody. That's what Israel is. Epstein didn't work for us. He worked for Israel.
Thank you.
Didn't work for us. He worked for Israel, right?
Thank you.
Like, Biden says, I'm a proud Zionist. You a Christian Zionist? Yeah, bro. I know who I work for. I know who cut the checks. Right? What are we talking about? Right? Like, why you look at the dual citizenship in the Senate, that'll help you explain why the votes look the way they do regarding Israel. Like, Zionism is imperialism, and it looks the way it does because of who's in charge, right? There are some people who are just selfish to be selfish, and they're like, they only seek to profit for their personal interest, which is true. That's fine. But then there's like people who have an agenda, right? And you can see by who they target, like that's who agenda you're serving or is being served. Libya, the way it was targeted. Syria can get shot and have a missile thrown at them any given day of the week by Israel in the whole goddamn NATO world. But they tripping off October 7th.
Yeah.
One day. That's one day in Israel, or excuse me, in Syria. When Israel just randomly just takes pop shots at these motherfuckers for no reason. Same thing in Lebanon. Why? Why is nobody saying anything? Because they know who has the power. Because there's not a country in Europe who could just take a pop shot at Turkey or another country in Eastern Europe, regardless of how the US feels about them, and not face consequences for it. Because they're like, yo, whoa, hold the fuck up. We got to coordinate and talk before you just do some shit like that. At least, right? They would at least say that. They won't even acknowledge whenever Israel pulls some shit like that. So now we know who runs the show. That's the moral of the story. All right, people, gotta get up out of here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, always great to have you on. I can't wait to have you on my show as well. You guys are gonna see a lot of Nico Howes this year. Killing it on Hotspot, and he's back on YouTube as well. Always great to have.
For sure. I'll be on YouTube, by the way, at 6 p.m. Eastern. So I'll see y'all then.
Yeah, make sure you guys check him out. He does fantastic work. Nico Howes.
I love you, Nico.
All right. See you. All right.
That was a great. Oops, my bad. That was a great rant to send Nico off on. I told you guys this is gonna be a ranty ass stream. Misty, Nico, me. We already knew how this stream was.
Poor CJ's just sitting there like, can I get a word in?
So I did that entire preface to set this video up because this video was hilarious. There's been the establishment is finally forced to acknowledge this because you have levels of unseriousness in our corporate media. Let me see if I can make this make sense. So most of their job, like Joanne Reed, is probably the most unserious of them all. Like Joanne Reed is giving strict instructions almost. Don't talk about foreign policy. Don't ever talk about anything like a substance. Free Zakaria. These propagandists, they're bad. Ali Veshi on MSNBC, for example, they're bad, but they tend to talk about more substance stuff than other people. They tend to talk about, they like, you are the one that had to talk about these issues. Everyone else, their job is to distract from the serious shit they have to talk about. So they talk about electoral politics. They talk about the culture war. They talk about all this stuff to distract from the panic that the establishment has right now regarding the international rules-based order. Right? Why do you guys think they want to go to war with Iran, with China? They was willing to risk it all funding Nazis in Ukraine. They are panicking because they're losing their power and influence, and their only answer is war. The job of this corporate media is to distract from that, but every once in a while, CJ and Misty, they have to come on and explain what's happening. And they don't do it. They don't send everyone to do it. The people who do it are the Ali Veshis, the Free Vicarias. Like, so this is very, and when you watch this, think about every line. Every line is very carefully crafted. And this is one of the things they have to cover, and they have to almost put out a statement on the fall of the United States international rules-based order. Look at the title. Allies are nervous about the United States presidential election. Why? Because there's a chance, and I see if I was wrong, because I told you guys, I didn't believe that Trump was going to be as anti-establishment as he says, but he's scaring the shit out of these people. He's scaring the shit out of people in Finland and Sweden and France. So that's why they have to do this segment, CJ, for their international people. All right, we got to address this. So that's my preface. I think I hyped it enough. Let's watch it. There's going to be a lot to say to this.
Conversations swirling around the chilly mountain air of Davos this week keep returning to one issue. Carl Bildt, former Prime Minister of Sweden, said to me, 2024 is the year of 50 or so elections around the world. But there is only one election we're all talking about, the one in America. When abroad, Americans can often be parochially attentive to their own politics, boring their foreign counterparts with long discussions of party politics in the Senate or the prospects of a new governor. But this time, I find it's the Americans who are weary of their country's political drama, while foreigners are panicking about what might happen in November. The American election is taking place at a crucial moment. Around the world, we're seeing several challenges to the rules-based international order that has served humanity well for decades.
Misty, CJ, the rules-based international order served humanity well.
Oh God, that was hard. That woke me up. I've been back here tending to the damn chat. That shit woke me up right there. I'm like, what did he say?
My guy said that with a straight face. He said it with a straight face. I mean, that's kudos to you, my guy.
He's starting with a banger, fam. He immediately, the same thing you just said, CJ, how you know how you say your ears perked up. I find these segments, I do a lot of research in preparation, preparing these shows for you guys. Watch a lot of these segments, see what's worth covering. This is one of the segments I was watching in the background. I was doing some chores and shit. You know what I mean? It was in the background. Then I heard him say that, like, wait, what? Save, you covered it immediately. So I want you guys to hear that part again. And once again, he's starting off. It's good. He just getting warmed up, fam. This segment is him addressing the elephant in the room, and you can hear the panic in the establishment. So let's listen to it again, and then we can dismantle it some more, because this is going to be a funny video. I told you.
In November. The American election is taking place at a crucial moment. Around the world, we're seeing several challenges to the rules-based international order that has served humanity well for decades.
Ask the kids in the Congo who are enslaved in the genocide going on in the Congo how well the international rules-based order is going for them. Ask the millions of Koreans that you guys killed in the most brutal war crime simply because they chose a different economic system, how great this rules-based order is going for them. Ask the socialists and the communists in the global south who suffer from torture campaigns because of Operation Condor in South America, how well the rules-based order has done. Ask 2.5 million Iraqis who was killed and millions more displaced in Iraq, how well the rules-based order has fit them. 55 seconds in, and we are hearing the craziest thing you can hear any news anchor say. People, I don't got any love or respect for Newsmax. We think Newsmax are clowns, right? But how is this person any better than Newsmax?
Oh, he's arguably worse. I think for like the CNN types, I think they're arguably worse because this guy I don't know. I think that a lot of them have done a lot of mental gymnastics to convince themselves of what they're doing is good, that they're doing like good journalism. I think that they've probably all done a lot of work inside their own heads to convince themselves of that. But like, he's not an idiot. It's like my issue with Rachel Maddow. She's a fucking Rhodes Scholar. She knows what she's doing. She's not an idiot. So I have a much bigger issue with people like that. Like, I think there are some of them that are like the people like Chris Cuomo. He's an idiot. He just does what he's told. He does whatever gets him an advancement. He does whatever's good for him. I don't think he thinks much beyond surface level. Do you know what I'm saying? I think he's dumb. But there are some, there are some who are, they know exactly what they're doing.
There's no doubt in my mind this guy's smart as hell, man.
Yeah.
That's why he's scary. He's not a dumb guy. He chooses to weaponize his intelligence on behalf of the most violent empire known to man.
Yeah.
I don't know. Go ahead, CJ. Go ahead. Feel free to interrupt, guys.
Well, him and another person who falls into this category is Christine Amanpour. I think that's how you say it.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
They both fall into this category, and it's people, and it's people who they make a deal. They go, listen, I am not about to stop these psychopaths over here from murdering people. So I need to become psychopath adjacent so they don't murder me. You get what I'm saying? And then I within the system of hell, carve out a space to say, this is the good section of hell. You get what I'm saying? Like, that's what made the deal, is that I'm not going to stop hell or the devil. Let me just carve out this little air-conditioned space in hell. But I can say this is a nice area over here. That's all this is that they made the deal with.
Well, a lot of them are chosen for their willingness to go along with this stuff. Like Wolf Blitzer is former AIPAC. Like, he was chosen for a reason. Anderson Cooper, huge CIA ties. I mean, the guy's got massive CIA ties. And I think that a lot of them are chosen in that way. I think some of them are just chosen because they're attractive. They know how to read a teleprompter, and they will just do as they're told. They don't think. They just do what they're told. I think there's a lot of them. Usually those are the smaller names, like the Briahna Kilar, or whatever her name is, or, a lot of like the lower level sort of, they just pop on every once in a while, whatever. The big names like the Fareed Zakarias, the Wolf Blitzers, the Rachel Maddows, the Christiane Amanpour, those people, they know exactly what they're doing. They're chosen for a certain reason. And I think that it's they're some of the most, in my opinion, and you guys know that this is kind of my thing, is journalism, media, propaganda, that kind of stuff. In my opinion, these people are some of the greatest threats that we face as a species. Period. Absolutely. They're the ones that sell us the lies. They're the ones that sell us the wars. They're the ones that make empire palatable to a vast majority of people. They are the you know what I mean? They're the face. They're the face of all of the stuff that we are doing across the world. And I think that's
a great point.
Yeah.
Because that sums up this story. Because this is just the preface, fam. Because they're gonna go into detail later. And when you say that, I say that's on point, because when you hear this segment, he sounds like a cheerleader talking about their football team. The based ass Kansas City Chiefs is going to the AFC Conference Championship game. My family, everyone's into it over here, right? That's what he sounds like. A news anchor, I hear that talking about the Kansas City Chiefs, but instead of talking about a sports team, he's talking about the most violent empire in human history.
Yeah.
And he's rooting on them to be successful on their violent campaigns. Now, not exaggerating. Let's continue, because I'm sure you guys are going to have more to say, because at the preface, he's going to get more specific on what he's talking about. Let's continue.
At a crucial moment. Around the world, we're seeing several challenges to the rules-based international order that has served humanity well for decades. In Europe, the bloodiest war the continent has seen since World War II threatens to upend its security system. In the Middle East, Iran and its allies, Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, and others, are testing their ability to disrupt the balance of power in the region. And in Asia,
so essentially, oh my God, things are fucked up, guys. People are opposing us.
Yeah.
People are not allowing us to oppose our sovereignty on the entire world. He's mourning the fact that people are resisting the U.S. access of influence.
And he's leaving out the fact that we're the ones that are we're the ones that started both of those situations. We're the ones that are arming those situations. We're the ones that are funding those situations. And that's what's so and that's what I mean by saying that they're some of the most dangerous people that we are up against, because the Russia situation, they're the ones that sold the whole. This was unprovoked. This was an unprovoked, completely leaving out the decades of NATO encroachment and the unbelievable provoking.
There's gonna be a lot he leaves out. There's gonna be a lot he leaves out, Misty, in this.
Yes.
There's gonna be a lot he leaves out. Go ahead. And then I'm gonna let maybe like another, just for a second time, I know TJ got a segment he probably won't get to. For a second time, I'm gonna let maybe like a minute or so play. And because it's gonna be very hard, trust me. It's gonna be very hard. But for a second time, I gotta be just let a minute play and then we chime in.
Asia, the rise of China remains the large long-term disruption, to which one must add North Korea's accelerating arms buildup and increasingly belligerent rhetoric.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
All of these have become tests of will for the U.S., which is scrambling to mobilize its allies in Europe, Asia, and the Middle East to help deter these threats and resolve crises. But many allies worry that in November, America could decide it has had enough, that these many problems perhaps do not centrally threaten American security and are therefore not worth confronting.
What does that mean? What does that mean? So he mentioned how China is trying to expand their influence. What are we supposed to be afraid about that? You see what he said? China building their armaments up. You mean what the United States does all the time?
Right? Who has 900 bases across the globe? Who's that again? Who is that again, Nick? I'm sorry. Is it China? I don't think so. I don't fucking think so. It's not China. It's the United States. The United States, really, that's 900. I think it's well over 1,000. That's not including black sites and whoever the hell else knows what we got going on. But they're not the ones occupying numerous countries and arming and funding several genocides. They're not the ones who are overthrowing democratically elected leaders of other countries and installing puppet dictators. That's not China. That's us. That's what we do. So shut the fuck up.
The United States is threatened by other countries' success. He went over and talking about how other countries are doing stuff and we need to approach them. Why? They never asked that, but I'll let it continue. Because you guys see the unhinged ideology of the United States in this monologue. Just the presence. I won't play that clip again. I'll let it continue. Just the presence of other countries doing stuff upsets them.
To which one must add North Korea's accelerating arms buildup.
I love this.
And increasingly belligerent rhetoric.
Belligerent
All
rhetoric.
of these have become tests of will for the U.S., which is scrambling to mobilize its allies in Europe, Asia, and the Middle East to help deter these threats and resolve crises. But many allies worry that in November, America could decide it has had enough, that these many problems perhaps do not centrally threaten American security and are therefore not worth confronting.
This is one unhinged.
Much of the rhetoric of Donald Trump and some of his closest ideological soulmates, from Tucker Carlson to Vivek Ramaswamy, feeds into this fear.
So they're upset because there are people in our society that saying, hey, maybe we shouldn't wage war on everybody. So Trump want to wage war. I got a segment we got to cut today where Vivek was on Sean Hannity. He sounded like a fucking neocon. I got to cut that segment. We don't got time for it today.
He is a neocon.
I may cover it with Q Anthony in a minute tomorrow. So the Trump movement is not anti-war. He's mad because they don't want to wage war with everybody.
Right. And another good part there was North Korea's belligerent rhetoric. What the fuck are you talking about, my guy? What are you doing right here? You don't think this is belligerent rhetoric where you're pointing the finger at literally anybody that dares to challenge Western imperialism? Like, seriously? It's the American exceptionalism of this shit where we just think that we own the world and that we get to do whatever the fuck we want and you just need to take it. Sorry, that's not how it works.
Misty, you don't understand.
Not anymore.
Misty, you are clearly misunderstood. Bombing kids, okay. Rhetoric, bad. You can bomb the kids, but you better not fucking talk about bombing kids.
Yeah.
If you talk about bombing people, that's bad. But if you
because we even talk about bombing kids. We got people right now in the United States government who are openly, full-throatedly supporting Israel in their bombing campaign against Palestinian children. We know that half of the population of Gaza is kids, children. We've seen the videos of babies being pulled out of rubble. We've seen the videos of kids with their heads exploded. I've seen more of that than I ever care to see in the rest of my life, ever. And the idea that that's okay. We're like, Israel's out on Twitter literally posting videos of war crimes. That's okay. That's totally fine. But North Korea has belligerent rhetoric. Go fuck yourself.
Dude, I almost forgot how unhinged this video was. This video I probably should say at Nick and Knight, to be honest. Because this is one of the videos where every line is a lie that takes like a rant to dismantle. To be honest, CJ, it probably would have been a better Nick and Knight video.
This is like Robert Kennedy talking about Palestine.
Because
that's what this
2
is.
minutes in, I was not planning on doing this long, CJ. I apologize. 2 minutes in.
Nah, we're good.
I also keep ranting, so it's partially my fault. I apologize.
No, I get it, because I'll let it continue.
Yeah,
this
I'll try to be
crazy
quiet.
because it actually get worse. Believe it or not, it gets worse. Because I remember thinking like, holy, by the time I got to like around this part, around got like 5 minutes, I was like exhausted.
Mentally exhausted.
So let's continue. I think live is speak for itself, but it's just so painful to listen to this. Let's continue.
So if Trump were to win the election and practice what he preaches, what happens to American allies that have stuck their necks out to partner with Washington?
They're screwed. You fucked around and you're finding out.
Yeah.
And Taiwan is now realizing, they see what happened to Ukraine, like, oh shit, I don't know about that, bro. You guys want to know what the media is not telling you? In the exit polls in Taiwan, only 35% of the Taiwan people said the United States is a trusted ally. So CJ, that's down from 48% in 1 year.
Good.
48%. No, not 1 year. Sorry, 2022. So in 2 years, they dropped 13%. So Taiwan saw Ukraine, they horrified, like, nah, we can't trust them.
We're not an ally. Dear people of Taiwan, we don't give a fuck about you. We do not care at all. Not you and I, but the United States government does not give one single solitary fuck about you. They want to use you for their own geopolitical aims, period. That's what they did to Ukraine. They used Ukraine. An entire generation of Ukrainian men was sacrificed on the altar of Western imperialism. And if you don't want that for yourself, please. I'm telling you, you do not want that for yourself.
Yeah, and look at this. Finland and Sweden. You had the Prime Minister of Finland out. You have the UK. I saw the Duran. They did a good coverage of this. The conservative government in UK is set to face the worst loss ever since like the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Labor. The neocon labor too. Then don't get excited. The neocon labor.
Yeah.
But they're about to lose a historic election.
Labor
the
is
Finland's
garbage.
Prime Minister lost. Like, there's a Zelensky curse going on right now. And now what he about to, I'm gonna let the video continue. He about to talk about how Finland and Sweden feel betrayed. Remember how Finland, Sweden, all these morons, how Germany, all these morons in Europe went along with US policy, and now they feel burned, CJ. Now they feel burned. So I'll let it continue because he about to explain that concept. So let's go back just a little bit. I'll let it
Election
play.
and practice what he preaches. What happens to American allies that have stuck their necks out to partner with Washington? Sweden's bill told me, consider my country and Finland. We have taken a huge step in joining NATO, one that puts us in a confrontational pose against Russia. We did this under the assumption that we had the backing of the armed forces of the United States.
That's what an idiot looks like right there, guys. Carl's an idiot.
And if Finland and Sweden should pull out the guillotine for you motherfuckers. CJ, how I covered this consistently last year. Remember the stories I kept doing about Finland and Sweden and NATO? How many? I did maybe 10 to 15 stories, countless stories, because it was
I did too.
one of the main things I covered last year.
Yeah.
And now they're going around like, oh, I think the United States burned us. If only you guys subscribed to RBN, I was telling you guys this.
Gee,
now
if only there were decades, hundreds of years of American behavior that could have shown you that was what was coming. Gee, who would have thought it?
But isn't this
CJ?
Isn't this a reflection? Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'll pass right to you, CJ. But remember when I said that when Sweden and Finland, and you can look at my segments when I did over this. I said Sweden and Finland join NATO makes them more unsafe. Look at my tweet. This is literally what I was telling people. And then I was saying, it was like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Here it is, guys. Exactly what I warned you guys. But sorry, CJ, I want you to chime in. Go ahead. Feel free.
No, I was just going to say that isn't this a reflection or isn't this an indication that NATO is not what they say NATO is? Yep. Isn't that what it is? Because if NATO is the good guys on the white horses, why would you be saying this if one of the good guys turn bad or one of the good guys decide to retire? Why would you say this unless it's an indication that NATO is not what they project it to be? Why would you feel unsafe if a member of this said good guy coalition decides to retire? Why would you feel that unless it's not what you say it is? If the major funder of, because this is what this is what he sounds like he's afraid of, as if either the U.S. is going to cut funding or back out because of Trump. I'm not exactly sure. Maybe he'll speak about it in the video, but it doesn't make sense to be making this comment unless you feel like there's going to be a change in NATO if Trump is elected. We'll see if that's what he says.
They know Biden's fucked too. That would lead to this panic right now. And I just want to address this so people know, because I covered this extensively, and this was ignored by the media, and it was so sick to see. There was a giant left-wing anti-NATO movement in Sweden and Finland. And those people was, you know how the same way they marginalized people who was against NATO in this country, but it was like way worse over there. Mm-hmm. And in Sweden and Finland, it was a nonstop media blitz, pro-war. And I know this because Democracy Now!, I have a lot of criticism of Democracy Now!, but every once in a while they have a good guest. Democracy Now! Brought on this Sweden left-wing anti-war activist, and she was explaining how the media is completely marginalizing anti-war voices in Sweden, and they essentially created a uniparty narrative that demonized anyone who was against NATO as pro-Putin. What does this sound like? What's going on right here? What did NATO left happen here? But that's what happened to Finland and Sweden. Now, the reason why I bring this up, because this person, I don't believe their citizens refer to this. Absolutely true. Polls before this had NATO like 50-50 at the beginning of the war. Then the propaganda blitz came, and the number flipped to around 70-30. So the propaganda campaign was successful, but there were less left-wing activists who was marginalized. Once again, what does this sound like?
I mean, y'all, I feel like a broken record. This is what I've been screaming about for years. This is what the censorship campaign's about globally. That's exactly what it's about. That's exactly what it's about. Marginalizing anti-war voices, anti-Western voices, and doing this kind of shit. This guy's an idiot.
Yeah, let's continue some more. Let's do as much as we can take. Then we try. I just wanted to pause it here so you guys can see this quote. This was one of the few planned pauses I had. Well, I wanted to show you guys this part. So I'm gonna let it play as much as I can here.
It's what happens if Trump wins and decides to pull out of NATO? We would be left exposed and have to think long and hard about our options.
Poor baby.
Finland, for its part, abandoned a policy of neutrality that had served it well for more than 70 years. And it could find itself deeply vulnerable to Russian attacks along its 830-mile border with that country.
Didn't I say that, CJ, last year? So you guys threw your neutrality away and did the only thing that would piss Russia off. And one of the reasons why the propaganda campaign was successful in Sweden, because they said we had to join NATO to protect ourselves from Russian aggression. And I told you guys, I said, that's the dumbest thing ever, because the only thing that will invite Russian aggression is joining NATO. Yeah. So you actually making them more unsafe. And now this genius is now pretending he just now discovered this. He did not. He sold his people out. Let's continue. I just had
capital, Helsinki is less than 200 miles from St. Petersburg. I detected similar concerns when I was in Australia a few weeks ago. On the surface, Australian officials and analysts were bullish about their newly strengthened alliance with America and proud that they would now be trusted by Washington with nuclear submarines, a technology that so far the U.S. has shared only with Britain. But underneath the
Joe Biden, by the way, was something else I covered, how Joe Biden sent nuclear submarines to Australia in order to provoke China. But the insane neocons on the MAGA right still pretend that Trump has been weak on China. I try to keep
proud. He just said Australia's proud that they've given us nuclear submarines. We're proud to instigate war with a nuclear power. We're very proud of that duty that we have been given by the United States. Listen, Australia, I've never seen a bigger empire, like a bitch. They are just
Germany and Australia.
They have zero sovereignty, none whatsoever. Caitlin Johnstone calls them Australia is the United States basement gimp, and that is accurate.
If you guys should follow Caitlin Johnstone's narrative on this.
I love Kate.
Oh, she's like at least top 3. right on
Yeah.
Twitter.
I don't always agree with
Basement
her.
Gimp.
There's some things that I like, but it's very, very rarely that I disagree with her hardcore. There's usually just like nitty gritty details, but she is a brilliant writer and I adore her. I read her stuff on my show all the time.
Yeah, so let's continue. You guys see how he's complaining, how he was like, essentially what he's saying in a nutshell here is that the Biden has delivered one of the most insane neocon agendas that we have ever seen. And by doing that, he made promises to countries that we will continue said neocon policies. So now they're left stranded with pro-war policies. We're not guaranteed to have a future president support such policies. I don't know, maybe should have considered that in the first place. But let's continue. You guys see how unhinged this segment is, right?
There is an unease. In recent years, Australia has moved decisively to ally itself with Washington and in the process enraged China, its largest economic partner. This is a balancing act that makes some strategists nervous. Sam Rogovin is a scholar at the Lowy Institute, Australia's leading think tank on international affairs. He has written a book, The Echidna Strategy, that best articulates
let's let us finish so
this
we can wrap up, get
nervousness.
last takes here. This is going to be hard, but
Rogovin
let's
argues that Australia is making a major mistake by relying on the US to be there for it over the next few decades. He believes that the Americans will, over time, conclude it's just not worth the enormous and sustained cost to confront China in Asia, that its security does not require it, and it will scale back its foreign commitments. That would leave Australia in a terrible place, having angered and alienated the Chinese, but without America's security umbrella to show for it.
They should listen to Caitlin Johnstone, right? The same way Ukrainians should listen to us, the same way Taiwan should listen to us, right?
Yeah.
He advocates turning Australia into an echidna, an Australian version of a porcupine, hard to attack, even harder to digest. Ever since World War II, Washington, on a bipartisan basis, has adopted an expansive vision of its own security, one that recognized it alone could help undergird stability in the key regions of the world. That global role has helped create what historians call the long peace and the open global economy.
Oh my God, dude, this is probably one of the craziest videos that we played on RBN.
What the fuck did he just say?
He said the United States openly expansionist agenda led to what experts call the long peace.
What the fuck did he just say?
He said that insane, aggressive neocon policies like bombing
and he said something about the stability of numerous regions. We are there's nobody who destabilizes the globe more than we do. There is nobody that causes more chaos, death, and destruction than we do. Nobody. It's not even close. It's not even close. The United States is the world's largest terrorist organization. Period. Point blank. End of story. This guy is a fucking scumbag to jump on here and pretend like the United States is providing stability. Oh my God. Oh my God.
So we're almost done here. I know there was a way long segment I played. I apologize for that. But this is the second viewing of this video is way worse than I remember. I knew it was bad, but Jesus Christ.
Like that last part,
last line is
my blood is
crazy,
boiling.
dude. I hear that last line and we let it finish. We almost done. I just hear that last line is something else, man.
Washington, on a bipartisan basis, has adopted an expansive vision of its own security, one that recognized it alone could help undergird stability in the key regions of the world. That global role has helped create what historians call the long peace and the open global economy.
What?
If Trump wins in November and rejects that broader view of America in the world,
we almost done.
A retreat could create power vacuums, leave allies exposed, and tempt adversaries to accelerate their attacks and heighten their ambitions. And that is why, this time around, it is foreigners nervously watching and obsessing about the Iowa caucuses and the New Hampshire primary. Go to CNN.com.
He said open global economy. You mean the numerous sanctions that we are imposing across the globe? Is that what you're talking about, scumbag? Really? I missed that part the first time. Open global economy. Are you joking?
Dude, that video was something else, bro. See, I didn't plan that segment go that long, but I forgot I didn't know how bad that shit was. I think the first viewing the second viewing is worse. I think
that's unreal.
That last segment,
I don't think I can watch that twice.
Was the craziest thing I heard.
Yeah.
He said people in the world are looking at the Iowa caucus because they want the neocon pro-war president to win so he can continue to illegally occupy countries. That's the narrative that he's crafting. Who's crazier than that? Is Alex Jones? People think Alex Jones crazier than that guy? Do people think the Newsmax crazier than that? And that's one of the craziest things I see them say with a straight face. He just promoted the idea that the most aggressive, pro-war, sending nuclear submarine kind of foreign policy is what led to peace and economic freedom. And you just mentioned sanctions. That alone destroys. Like, that's such an insane thing to say. That's
the reason why you have to use this term long-term peace, because you can always make an argument that currently we're not having peace with this rules-based order. You can always make an argument that we're always at war. That's why you have to. Well, it's because it's a long-term vision of peace. Their long-term vision of peace. Their long-term vision of peace, Misty, is killing everybody else.
Yes.
It's killing everybody else. That's their long-term
There's
version
never
of
been
peace.
peace.
We're going to kill everybody until it's just us that's left over. But it's curious to me that he doesn't mention how the United States Congress has put a hurdle so that any president who gets in power can just unilaterally exit NATO.
Yeah, they passed that
was
in
just
December.
put into. Yeah, they just passed that last month because they were afraid of supposedly Trump getting in office. They're painting Trump to be this
outsider,
anti-war person that he is literally not. He's just not a warmonger in the same sense.
Yes, CJ,
that
I have
they
a
are.
segment.
You get what I mean?
I have a segment I'll come today that I'll plan on doing today because I had two propaganda segments, but we don't have time because Vivek Ramaswamy was on Sean Hannity, or was it Sean Hannity? One of the shows, and they was talking about foreign policy, and it's straight up neocon shit.
He is a neocon.
So we all know that, right? But there's a narrative that Trump
he's
is
an
not,
outsider.
right?
Yes,
and you even see our allies are falling for it. That's what that segment's about. Even like people, you know how they probably not following that close. They just probably following the overall mainstream narrative. So people in Finland and Sweden, they think this motherfucker really is about to end all U.S. wars, and they panicking because of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But wait till watch Tuesday, because I think I'm gonna cover it with Q, Anthony, and Midnight. Vivek goes on Sean Hannity, and they talk about China. They talk about
he is so bad on
and
China.
Gaza. It is just as bad as you can imagine. That's gonna be one on Nick and Night. So CJ, pass to you. I do only one segment.
Yeah,
today,
we got
Right,
one last segment, and it is called "The Jewish Insider Attacked Jamaal Bowman and Briahna Joy Gray." So the Jewish Insider is a Jewish publication, a Zionist publication, I should say. And they have recently went after both of them, but for different reasons. And we're gonna get to that. But instead of reading super chats, if we can push that to the end, I'm gonna go ahead and shout out something else for our announcement segment, and that is our website. Make sure you check out our website, revolutionaryblackout.com. When you check it out, you can do everything on there from all of our community action work. Yeah, absolutely. All of our community action work you can see there. You can join our Patreon. You could check out all of our other social media accounts. You can see there on the right hand side. You can also check out our merchandise. When you click merchandise on the top right hand corner, you'll check out all of our like anti-imperialist sort of merchandise. One of our top sellers is Misty, is the NATO the sweater, the NATO merchandise. We have one that says NATO is a terrorist organization. That's our second best seller. So I wanted to shout that out. Yeah, me too. I don't have anything. Nick is already up on all of us on most of our stuff. The other thing I wanted to shout out is the fundraiser. Is our brand new fundraiser. We're doing a fundraiser for all chapters. So this is this might be an ongoing just RBN fun that all of our chapters sort of pull out of for any community work that we're going to do, instead of just only raising money for specific community actions. We have this pool where we can just go in and say, hey, let's go get some supplies for some hygiene supplies for some unhoused people in Florida. Hey, let's go get, some diaper runs over here for people in KC. So that's what this fund is going to be used for. If you're interested, the GoFundMe is scrolling there at the bottom. And now let's get into the final segment of the day. And like I said, this one is about the Jewish Insider and their sort of Zionist campaign against anyone speaking against the colonial project. And there's two types. You have those that are sort of virtue signaling, Mixty, and that's when we're talking about Jamaal Bowman. And then you have those that are more standing on principle, like Briahna Joy Gray, that they're going after. They're going after both. So let's look at this first one, and then I'll get to this tweet because it actually involves Norman Finkelstein. And this is what happened. Jamaal Bowman had this event, or he attended this event that Norman Finkelstein was also attending. So both of them is attending. Jamaal Bowman introduces Norman Finkelstein, and he says, I guess, some semi-nice things about him, and it really pisses off Apex and the Zionists, of course. And this article is written. And also, Jonathan, I think his name, Jonathan Greenblatt of the ADL, was pushing this article to the point that made Jamaal Bowman flip. And let me read a little bit of this article. The headline says, Jamaal Bowman praises speaker who celebrated October 7th Hamas attack. Embattled lawmaker appeared with anti-Israel author Norman Finkelstein at Yonkers Islamic Center last Sunday. And then it goes on to say Jamaal Bowman introduced a controversial anti-Israel scholar, Norman Finkelstein, who has accused Jews of exploiting the Holocaust to legitimize Israel's treatment of Palestinians. Let me just make a correction.
So
it should say who has accused Zionists, not Jews, he is a Jew, who has accused Zionists of exploiting the Holocaust to legitimize Israel's treatment of Palestinians at a panel discussion on the Israel-Hamas war last Sunday. This is a week from yesterday that this happened in Westchester County, where the congressman expressed his admiration for the what they call polarizing author and activist. And here's a quote. I'm a bit starstruck, Bowman said of Finkelstein, whose 2000 polemic, the Holocaust industry has faced allegations of promoting conspiracy theories about Jewish.
Oh, that's how you know that's how you know there was some hardcore facts in that book. That's the best endorsement you can get. If you write a book and in the establishment paper they say it's full of conspiracy theories, congratulations, you nailed it. That means anyway, let's continue.
That means you're preaching truth. Literally, that's literally in my opinion.
To be fair, I haven't read the book. To be fair, I haven't read the book, but if they say that about
I
the
have.
book,
It's not filled with conspiracy theories. Norman Finkelstein is easily, I would say, probably the single most important voice on Israel-Palestine. He's been doing this for a very long time. Now, maybe not he's up there. He's certainly up there. George Galloway's been on it for very long. Like, there's a lot of people who've been doing this for a very long time. I think the fact that he is Jewish, and I've been saying this for a very long time, in my opinion, in this fight against Zionism, because don't get it twisted, that's what it is. There is nothing more powerful than the anti-Zionist Jewish voice. And Finkelstein has been one of the loudest, one of the most powerful, one of the most unashamed, unabashed. Like, he does not give a fuck. He's amazing. And so, yeah, it's
one last thing I'll say, now pass to you, CJ.
Yeah, go ahead.
I told you guys, I'm a conspiracy theorist, what people will call conspiracy theorists. But conspiracy theorists are proven right over and over again.
Just spoiler alert.
Yes, the spoiler alert, as Missy says here. But think about what they say here. Conspiracy theories. You guys understand the idea of calling anyone who criticizes Israel anti-Semitic, that come from Mossad. That come from the Mossad. The idea is they're gonna obscure the criticism. They're gonna delegitimize the criticism by labeling you an anti-Semite. This is a plan laid out by Mossad to delegitimize the enemies of Israel. Yep. That's a conspiracy. Like, do people know what words mean?
Yeah.
A conspiracy is when people come together and conspired in order to achieve a gain. Now add the word theory after that. So a conspiracy theory is us having a theory of people coming together and conspiring. That is very common. Why do people pretend it's not? Do people know what words mean? So when you say that the Mossad uses anti-Semitism to shield Israel for criticism, that is a conspiracy theory, technically, but it's true. You guys see how demonizing conspiracy theory only work for the establishment? But anyway, go ahead, CJ. I want to continue. But that line irks me, and that's how you know that they view you as a threat when they start calling you a conspiracy theorist, right?
Yes. And right here. Okay, has faced allegations of promoting conspiracy theories about Jewish extortion, and the other guests who participated in the discussion at the center in Yonkers, quote, I watched them all the time on YouTube, end quote. That's what they're saying Jamaal Bowman was saying about the people that was there at this event. Finkelstein, a political scientist who in 2007 was denied tenure at DePaul University amid charges of anti-Semitism, which he dismissed as politically motivated, has long been a divisive figure for his comments on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. The Jewish son of Holocaust survivors has voiced support for Hezbollah, the Israel-backed militia in Lebanon, and compared Israel to Nazi Germany, among other incendiary remarks.
So he's saying
basically. So that's all I wanted to read of the article. Now let me show you the exchange of what happened on Twitter before I show you the last headline here. This is what happened on Twitter. So David Blatt, so this happens, he gets wind that, Jamaal Bowman goes to this event. I don't need to show you the video because the video is really, really anticlimactic. He's just standing there and it looks like a high school gym. So it's really anticlimactic. But Jonathan Greenblatt sees this video, and of course he is he's the arbiter of whatever is anti-Semitism. He tweets this. This is beyond the pale when Jamaal Bowman lauds a cheerleader of terrorism who brags that the 10/7 massacre, quote, warms every fiber of his soul, end
I'm
quote.
sure he didn't say that.
He loses his moral credibility and diminishes his voice. Now, if you're Jamaal Bowman and you are on the brink of being ousted specifically by AIPAC, and they're putting up all this money, and you get tagged by this guy, you know how much fear that puts into you? If you don't know how much fear, let's just go to Jamaal Bowman's tweet, and you can see.
Look at that ratio, Jesus Christ. Look at that fucking ratio.
Oh, he gets destroyed. He gets destroyed.
I did not. Oh, look at that.
Destroyed.
That's a brutal for a politician, fam.
Okay, but this is also the guy who was confronted about Ukraine and was like, yeah, Putin's a madman. What's Donbass?
I remember that.
He's so fucking dumb. He is an idiot. I don't know how. Well, I do know how he got to become a congressman because we tend to elect absolute idiots. This guy has no idea. He has no idea. He was fully supporting Nazis in Ukraine because Putin's a madman, but he had no idea what Donbass was. Not a clue. What's a Donbass?
That was Robert Cosmo, right?
It reminded me of Gary Johnson when he did the what was it? What's Aleppo? What's Aleppo?
Yeah,
I had no idea. That's what it reminded me of.
Definitely a bum brain, but go ahead, CJ.
All right, so he says this after making that. Now, if you say I am, what do you say, starstruck? In order to be starstruck, can you be starstruck about somebody you know very little about?
No.
Can you be starstruck about that?
No.
You can only be starstruck about somebody you know a lot about, but this is what he says. Jamaal Bowman says, I seen a few interviews, but was unaware of Norman Finkelstein's completely reprehensible comments before this event.
Jesus Christ.
And when he made comments on October 7th at this event, I strongly condemned his language and will always continue to do so. I apologize deeply to any of my friends and neighbors hurt by my comments and will continue to fight the scourge of anti-Semitism in our country and across the world. That is Jamaal Bowman. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Pause. Norm Finkelstein's family survived his parents survived the Holocaust. Correct me if I'm wrong.
He lost family in the Holocaust, and his parents survived Warsaw.
Okay, so I didn't write his biography or anything, but I know the general story, right? So his family was victims of the Holocaust.
Yes,
that's a good way to put it. So you have people who are not Jewish, Jamaal Bowman, and others, I'm sure, that joined this crusade, that's calling a Jewish person whose family survived or were victims of the Holocaust anti-Semitic.
Yes.
Do you guys realize the insanity of Zionism? They got Christians. I don't know what Jamaal Bowman is. I'm assuming he's a Christian.
Probably Christian, at least superficially.
So we have a Christian calling a Jewish person anti-Semite because they question a genocidal country following in direction of Nazis in Germany. Do you guys realize how much Zionism broke in the brains of Americans?
Well, to be fair, though, I think that they've completely overplayed that hand. The claims of anti-Semitism, that used to work. People would not speak. I remember, the Israel-Palestine situation was one of the first things when I first started getting interested in politics that grabbed my attention. I've been paying attention to this for a very long time. And years ago, people would not speak against Israel. Like, I was like, it was, you're kind of like a little ship in the middle of the ocean, you could not talk about, and if you did, and trust me, I've been called an anti-Semite and a hater of Jews and all kinds of horrible things for a very long time, but that has completely lost its luster at this point. Now you're starting to see it. I think, Nick, you actually, maybe it was Nico, posted a video of a black woman who was like, I'm a black woman in America. You can try to call me an anti-Semite. That ain't playing. I'm not interested. And people are now starting to see through that. That was what they hid behind. That was what they were able to, use those claims. They were able to use the Holocaust and what happened to them as a shield and to justify the occupation of Palestine, the apartheid of the Palestinian people, the genocide, the ongoing genocide. This genocide that we are all watching play out didn't start on October 7th. This has been happening for decades. It's a slow motion genocide. Their intentions have always been clear. They've never been shy. They've never been shy about what they plan to do with Palestine. And just because it's taken them this long to really set it off, that doesn't mean that that's what they've always been doing. But those claims, you calling people an anti-Semite, it doesn't work anymore. It doesn't play anymore. People don't care. They see through it, and it's just not as effective as it used to be. And I think that that's a huge part of the reason why they're losing the PR war, because they overplayed that hand and they tried to wag their finger at people. And there's nothing anti-Semitic about calling you out on your bullshit genocide. I'm sorry. Listen, Zionism is a political ideology. Judaism is a thousands-year-old religion. The two are not the same, and it is disgusting to conflate them. It is so unbelievably disgusting to me that you are trying to hide behind the religion of Judaism to justify a genocide. And I think that, I think there's so many people now who, and especially in particular, as I said earlier, Jewish people who are so tired of their religion being used as a cover for this shit.
Yeah, we were just talking about conspiracy theories, right? I'll be real short. I'll pass to you, CJ, real short.
Yeah, no worries.
We were just talking about conspiracy theories, right? Wasn't the guy who started this the ADL person, CJ? They're from the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League. The ADL is an organization that claim they're here to protect Jewish people, but they are the biggest threat to free speech among Jewish people.
Yeah.
The ADL has bragged multiple times. They can't get Norman Finkelstein fired because he don't have a manager. But you know how many Jews they got fired? So the biggest people that are censoring Jews are the ADL. They are the biggest enforcers of anti-Semitism.
Yeah,
they were engaging in anti-Semitism by attacking Norman Finkelstein the way they do because he's not loyal to Israel. That's an anti-Semitic trope to claim that all Jewish people should be loyal to Israel. That is what ADL says. So the conspiracy is ADL pretends to fight anti-Semitism. Meanwhile, they are the biggest purveyor of anti-Semitism and censoring and violence against Jewish people. But go ahead, CJ, continue.
Yeah, just wanted to give you the latest tweet in this dynamic. So he calls out Jamaal Bowman. Jamaal Bowman backpedals and prays that they don't spend all of the $100 million from AIPAC on him. And then, of course, Jonathan Blatt pats him on the head. Good boy. He says, shortly after I posted the below tweet calling out Jamaal Bowman, Bowman apologized for praising Norman Finkelstein and made it clear that he condemns Finkelstein's remarks about 10-7. I welcome this apology and hope that those who gave Finkelstein a platform will do similarly. Go ahead.
Zionists are the biggest Karens in the world. Like literally,
100%.
If you want to see the most unhinged shit online, and this exposes the right-wing populists who we've been calling out. Me and Misty, we've been calling these people out from day one. The frauds on the populist right. The ADL page is literally cancel culture summed up.
Yeah.
The entire page is them. And there's the ADL, and there's a page called Stop Anti-Semitism. I covered this page.
I heard that one, yeah.
Their entire page is them bragging about getting people banned because they said wrong thing about Israel. Meanwhile, the right-wing populists who claim they're against cancel culture and identity politics like and retweet these pages.
Yeah.
Bragging. I saw one of the middle school teacher got fired because she said free Palestine. And they went to the school board and said they hired an anti-Semite, got her fired. That is what
also, the right has also been rightfully freaking out about child sex trafficking and Jeffrey Epstein. Who the fuck do you think he worked for? They're out here giving full-throated support to Israel and then over here freaking out about Jeffrey Epstein, not connecting those dots. Like, do you guys even do you hear what you're saying? Like the free speech thing drives me absolutely. And this is, I mean, I knew that this was true all along, but it's very frustrating to me when you realize that the lack of consistency is so frustrating. Being able to find anybody who is legitimately consistent on free speech is damn near impossible. It is damn near impossible. There's only, I mean, the number of people who are genuinely like hardcore free speech is very few, and that's sad. It's very sad.
Yeah, and I'm just going to show you a headline here because I mean, we can guess what they do in this article.
Yeah,
I
haven't read this article. I already know what they say. I promise.
Yeah, you can guess
based on this headline. I already know what they're saying.
Exactly. It's the stereotypical things you would hear from a Zionist accusing people of anti-Semitism. But let me read just a little bit of it maybe. The Hills online show Rising falls prey to host anti-Israel conspiracy theories. Briahna Joy Gray denied documentation of Hamas sexual violence and accused Israel of targeting its hostages in Gaza. Go ahead if you want to chime in. Go ahead.
I didn't want to chime in too much, but there's no documentation. That's a lie.
No, there's zero documentation. In fact, they have fully admitted that we don't have anything. We have zero evidence. We have no forensics. There's nothing. There's no forensics. There's nothing. There's absolutely nothing. They have nothing. And it's and also what was the other one that they just said that she was denying? The sexual assault and what else was it at the top?
Oh, I'm sorry. Sexual assault and hostage. You're targeting
Israel is targeting hostages. We know that that's happening.
Are they denying that?
Yeah,
yes.
They're denying that.
They're saying that's a conspiracy theory. They're saying that's a conspiracy. Remember, conspiracy theory means truth. Conspiracy theory almost 9 out of 10 times means truth. Now listen to what they say. I'm not going to read the whole article. I'm just going to zoom in on specifically on this part.
Man.
And it says, since the October 7th attack, the show's most high-profile host, Briahna Joy Gray, a far-left pundit.
She is not far left.
We are her friend, but the three of us are to the left of Bree. So let's keep that clear.
She still has me blocked on Twitter.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah. A far left
pundit
who served. Oh God.
Yeah.
A far left pundit who served as the national secretary on Bernie Sanders' 2020 presidential campaign has repeatedly used her platform to downplay the violence, sharing commentary that some viewers have interpreted as defending Hamas's action.
I was wrong. I knew what they were going to say, but you can't really prepare yourself. I was wrong. I knew what they were going to say, but you never know how low they're really going to sink.
Yes.
Man, that's
Now,
crazy.
I just wanted to read just a little bit of both to talk about what the Jewish Insider. It's just not a long segment, and we'll put the links to both articles in the chat. But the point of the segment and the two articles is that to see whether you decide to go full-throated against them or whether you try to play this progressive Democrat walk in the line, they're going to come at you the same way, just like they did in the Jewish Insider. So it begs the question for those who are progressive Democrats, why are you supporting them? Because if you say anything good about Palestinians, they're coming at you the same as if you're not supporting them.
Yeah.
So why don't you go full throat at them? It just doesn't make sense. That's my final word on the topic. We'll go to Misty and then Nick to round us out. What say you about what the Jewish Insider is doing and the differences between their targets in this segment here?
I mean, typical Hasbara, you know what I mean? This is what they do. This is exactly their, and I think that that's also something else that's been really exposed over the past couple of months is their playbook, because they have used the same playbook for decades, and it's been very effective up until now. And I think that a lot of people are starting to recognize the game that's being played and the way that they write these attack pieces. And I mean, it's so, first of all, the idea that's the same thing as calling Robert Kennedy Jr. Anti-Semite. That guy is a Zionist piece of shit. And so anybody, like, they try to pretend like he's and I saw somebody in the chat said that Jamaal Bowman needs to get a meeting with Rabbi Shmuley ASAP. I would be willing to bet that that's probably going to happen. I would be willing to bet we're going to see Jamaal Bowman hanging around with Rabbi Shmuley here pretty soon to rectify his image here with the Jewish people. This is not surprising. This is exactly the same playbook that they've been using. This is the exact same line of attacks that they've been using for a very long time. I think I don't think people are buying into it as much as they used to. And I think that the longer this continues, the more we will start to see their credibility diminish, and the more we will start to see them become a pariah state, and the more support for Palestine will grow, in my opinion.
They're in shambles. You guys realize that?
They are.
So,
they're scrambling. They're so, you're right. They are in shambles.
As I mentioned before, do I have to lie about what the Biden administration has done? Have I ever lied? Have I ever went on stream and like, man, the Biden administration got commandos in Thailand, like just to make it sound worse?
No.
I never had to do that because there's enough evil shit to talk about on Biden. Why I never have to lie? Guys, we don't have enough time to cover shit. I had to cut 2 segments today and we still went 3 hours. There's not enough time to cover the true shit they do for me to ever mislead you guys. How do you even have time to do that? You guys notice how they got to make up shit about Hamas? You know why? Because the Democrats, their coalition is in shambles. So they are desperate to find a way to get the far left feminists on their side. So they can't drop the Hamas rape lie. I gotta repeat myself. They can't. Because they're a bleeding left support. So they have to paint Hamas as unique terrorists. If the truth is told about Hamas, they are a resistance fighter that may be flawed in some way. No one's perfect, but they're a resistant fighter fighting against the most violent, unhinged regime we've seen in decades. If the true story came out like it is there nationally, Israel's dead in the water. So they are forced to destroy their integrity. Every Zionist, they are forced to lie about the Hamas rapes. They're forced to lie about the beheaded babies because that's the only way they can operate now. You can't justify their war against Hamas without demonizing Hamas as somehow worse than us, right? When we kill kids, we kill it with compassion. We feel bad. The IDF mourn for the people that they kill. Meanwhile, Hamas, they cut girls' breasts off and play with it in the street. They rape people aggressively. When they kill people in the mean way. When you're in the afterlife, you feel uncomfortable the way Hamas kill you. But at least when Joe Biden killed you, at least you know he's inclusive to the LGBT community. Like, you guys, it's an absurd premise, but it works on people. I'll say this all the time. This is my last thought now, and I'm done for the day. There's no rationalization to claim that Hamas is a terrorist organization over Israel or the United States.
No.
Because what are you claiming that off of? Are you claiming that they're terrorists because they waged war? Are you going down that rabbit hole? Are you claiming they're terrorists because they kill civilians? Do you want to go down that rabbit hole? They can't do that because they will implement them. So they have to do this childlike. They have to present this childlike point of view that present Hamas as waging war in a uniquely evil way. And I want you guys to think about this. Do you guys think Hamas, do you guys think Putin, do you guys think all these enemies they demonize, do you think when they kill people that it's worse than when we drop bombs on people? That's what they will have you believe. That when we kill people, it's just. When they kill people, it's not just. We have to reject that. And that's why I won't condemn people who fight against the liberation as laid out by international law. That's my last thought for today. I probably got right. We got to get super chats. Any last thought, CJ and Misty, before we?
No, but I got a hard out.
Go ahead, CJ. Go ahead.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
No, I was just gonna say I got a hard out. I gotta go pick up my.
I gotta go. I gotta get ready for my show.
I'll read super chats.
You guys, super chat.
I'll read super chats.
All right. Thank you, Misty, for joining us. We want to
Yeah.
make sure we want to make this more regular. We're going to be doing that 2024. We want to have guests more regular. So that's something Nick and CJ show we'll be trying to do more often. So thank you for coming. Sorry, I gotta get out of here, but I gotta get on the road and get my daughter today.
Yeah, Misty, I'll give you last thoughts to send your stuff out because
I just wanted to agree with you that people keep saying, yeah, but do you condemn Hamas? No, I do not. And I will say that with my whole fucking chest. Come for me. I don't care. No, I do not condemn Hamas. Now, listen, does that mean that I like it when civilians get impacted? No, I'm anti-war, period. I'm anti-violence, period. But I'm not going to Monday morning quarterback and finger wag at people who are fighting their oppressors. I'm not going to be like, you can't do that. How dare you fight for your freedom that way? I mean, these people have been living in an open-air concentration camp. These are people who have been subjected to some of the most inhumane treatment that we've ever witnessed on planet Earth. We're talking about Israel did studies on the minimum caloric intake that it was necessary to sustain survival, and then that's all the food that they would allow into Gaza, just enough to maintain life, just barely enough so that you would not die. That's the kind of psychopaths that we're dealing with. And so, no, I don't condemn Hamas, and no, I'm never going to condemn Hamas. And you can be mad at me for that. I don't care at this point. I do not care. We've been witnessing this play out for far too long. And it's not just Hamas. Like Hamas is there are numerous resistance groups in Palestine. It's not just Hamas. There are all kinds of resistance groups. It's just very easy for them to use Hamas as the figurehead. And also, if Bibi Netanyahu had such a problem with Hamas, maybe he shouldn't have been funding and supporting it politically, because he's been doing that for a very long time too. And if you don't believe me, go check out Scott Horton and Connor Freeman's piece that they did at antiwar.com. They include tons of historical evidence and quotes where they Bibi and his band of merry henchmen have been supporting Hamas for a very long time. So no, I don't condemn Hamas. Fuck you. Thank you for having me.
Now you guys see why Misty is our diversity hire.
And I am not ready to fight. I've never been in a fight, believe it or not, with this mouth. I've never been in a fight. It's crazy. I don't know.
I believe it, Misty. How can you dislike Misty? Misty is the best.
Oh, lots of people.
No, I know. They hate you because you tell the truth, though. They don't count. They hate you because you tell the truth. But I missed you on the show, man. It's been a while. I missed you. I missed your presence.
Yeah, it has been
fantastic
too long.
run to end the show.
Yeah,
this is why
Nick's gonna be on my show.
Yeah.
What day is it? What day did we decide on?
I think next week, right? Is it next Monday?
So you and Sabi are both on in the same week, which I love. I was like, I should just do a whole ass RBN week. So yeah, you're on the 29th and Sabi's on the 31st. So that'll be a good week over on my show. So I got to go get ready for a show. I have a show at 5 o'clock on TNT Radio if anybody wants to jump over there. But thanks for having me. I appreciate you very much. I love you. And I'm always willing to come back. I love our rant sessions.
Yeah, absolutely. I missed our rant sessions.
Yeah, it's been too long.
Thanks,
guys. Appreciate everybody.
The very, very powerful Misty Winston. Very, very, very powerful. Then for $5, but let me get through these super chats. Misty is right. Bowman will also have to buy a bunch of sex toys at Smoothie store. Well said. Thank you for $2. Aspen Fallen. How can we find you on Give, Send, Go? Can't find it. Oh no, I got CJ about that. Then for the $5, Nestor. YouTube not letting me say that the USA is going to implode in 2024. I had to type it in differently. I see to get it somehow. Yeah, people be going off on us. They be like, RBN is censoring this chat. I'm like, no, guys, YouTube censor this shit automatically sometimes, not us. Like, so I don't have time to even read a lot of live stream comments. Like, it's hard, let alone censor live. Like, sometimes it's YouTube. We can't really control that. Make sure it's TNT. Misty got a show on TNT Radio. If you guys don't know, I will be on there tomorrow. I'm gonna see if Misty okay with me posting a replay like I usually do. I don't think she had a problem with that. I love doing Misty show. I did Misty show maybe 5 times now. 5 times, 4 times. Misty is base as it comes, man. As base as it comes. Thank you for $5. Tomorrow I'm having Q Anthony and Mene on Tuesday night. That should be fun. Thank you, RBN. Escalate community education. Hashtag airdrop aid for Gaza. I appreciate all the super chats, comrades. Thank you for the $10 here. Ukraine and Gaza are the beginning of the end for the Western-dominated world of the last couple of centuries. And yeah, you guys saw the panic that was in the voice of Fareed Zakaria, right? I think we caught up after this one. Can we get a deep dive on AIPAC and some of the key people involved and how we can stop this? I did a hotspot video on that, but we can never stop talking about AIPAC. Not going to be the last time we do that. They're going to be big this next year. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. I had to call my homies up for this one. You guys are going to see a lot of Nico and Misty. We calling in all the favorites this year. I mean, we got a big community. We got people that would love to have on the show. So Q Anthony and Mene on Tuesday. Might have a banger guest for you guys on Thursday and Saturday too. So make sure you guys subscribe and share the channel if you guys enjoyed. Have a good one.